penny for a tale. Tonight, we are running episode 46, not 47, of our Pathfinder adventure path. This is the Age of Ashes. Before we get into the sponsors for tonight, let's reintroduce our cast, starting with Jen.
Hello, I am Jen. Tonight I will be playing the Vesperin, the Sea Elf Rogue, who nearly faced her own mortality again, being suspended in the longest near-death experience that one could ever have. So that's fine.
Dr. Mr. Smith.
Hello, I am Mr. Smith, Dr. Mr. Smith. I am playing Rune Ravenswood, and maybe a little bit of Dorian Ashwood. Weird how they both have wood names.
Yeah. Woody. Sam.
Hey, Sam. Tonight I'll be playing Aghi the Half-Orc, as well as Poppy Ava Ravenswood, who's confused about her name always, so...
Daniel.
Hi guys, I'm Daniel. I'm playing Sailix, who is going through a bunch of stuff. I am also directing tonight, so I'm trying to handle those audio issues right now where the music is coming in really loud. I apologize.
It's supposed to be intense. We got this, guys. People are dying. It's serious. James.
Hi guys, my name is James. I am playing Waldorff Skysteel, the Dwarven Cleric tonight. I am having some video issues, so if you don't see me moving around and whatnot, that's why. You'll just have to tolerate listening to my dulcet tones this evening with no video. I don't think anybody's going to mind, though.
I see it as a narrative challenge. I might mute my own camera and just flail my voice around in dwarven accents while I murder everybody. I did not say that. Tonight's show is sponsored by Fantasy Grounds. We have been using Fantasy Grounds Unity for Book 4 and Fantasy Grounds Classic for the books prior to that. If you are looking for a virtual tabletop, I could not recommend it highly enough. Go to fantasygrounds.com to check it out. Smiteworks is great, and they're constantly updating it. It's overall just an amazing service. We are also sponsored by The Only Sheet, which is an Excel-based character management tool. It is good for party planning across multiple editions of your favorite fantasy TTRPGs. I highly recommend them if you have Excel and you're looking to automate some of your party management and your planning for your characters. It goes all the way up to level 20. Super nice, smooth, fast service. Check them out, theonlysheet.com. Our music tonight is by Rock Narden and Michael Gelfi. You can find links to their YouTube and Spotify in the show notes. And then our maps tonight are by Che and Piku and Seafoot Games. You can find links to their Patreons where I get their maps. They post multiple times a month each. They're extremely high quality and virtual tabletop friendly with gridless and gridded versions. There are links to their Patreons in the show notes as well. But let's just pick up where we left off. As you can see on the map, our party is in a bit of a pickle. Dorian Ashwood, you've landed on top of this massive creature. It's risen from this crater. Yeah, Vesperin, I believe you've dropped down as well, or perhaps you've been set down. Waldorff, you're with Poppy on a cliff face, watching this thing rise up. You've had mere seconds to respawn, and then Rune and Sailix, you're flying. But yeah, where is Vesperin?
Can you please pop the map for me?
Yes.
Map? So that I can figure that. And I guess that's dependent on Sailix, also, because, I mean, she would want to be dropped off, like, on the flat part where, like, the crates and stuff were,
Right.
So,
Right.
but obviously, you're the one carrying her. So, you tell me, Daniel.
He just dropped her. He just flew out and just like, yeah, have fun. I was just playing. He probably would have got her as close as possible. It might have been a little bit of rough landing with everything going on, but yeah, he would have got her as close as possible as well.
She's acrobatic. She can land fine like a cat.
Well, I believe
cool Black Widow landings.
Yeah, with that shoulder roll, you and Dorian are first and second, respectively, on initiative. So go ahead as you land on this thing. You see these explosive crates that you've seen marked to be identified by the ghouls that supposedly smuggled them here. They're sliding about, some already rolling off of this thing and tumbling into the magma far, far below. After plummeting, some shattering on the cross beams as well. What do you do?
What happens when they go into the magma? Like, first of all, do they explode? And like,
yes, they.
Okay.
From here, it seems to be that they're exploding. But there's so much going on, so much calamity and destruction that it's drowned out by this. But everything essentially falling apart simultaneously anyway.
Okay. Is there, I guess, like, the question I have is, does it seem to have, so first of all, like, looking into it, is it just a basin of lava in there, or, like, is there any structure to it? Like, do the explosive crates have any effect on it?
So if you're trying to look into this thing, you would have to climb over top its head.
Okay. So
right now
we're,
you're
like,
at
on
its
the side.
shoulders and chest.
Okay,
Yep.
gotcha. Alright, so I feel like Vespa would try to grab, like, one of the crates or something if she can. And just, look at Dorian with, like, hey, wanna try blowing this thing's head off?
Dorian looking down. Vesperin, little wasp, I thought you would never ask. Toss it up.
Okay, so, what do you need me to roll to engage in these alley-oop maneuvers?
Well, if you're trying to get on the head, that's going to be an acrobatics check to alley-oop to the miniature volcano shape of a head here. Maybe avoid the eyes of this creature as it gazes
Probably.
around looking for something to kill.
I feel like she's had enough experience with giant things with laser eyes that she just is like,
Yep.
no. So, well, my question is, do I need to roll to grab any of the crates, or are there already some that are there? Like, are we good?
Yeah, to grab a crate would probably be under sleight of hand, so it's grandfathered into thievery. I would make a thievery check to grab one as it's sliding down. And then it would be an acrobatics to climb up.
Dorian is taking the rope that's he's currently has wrapped around his hand, and he's going to give some slack to tie it around his waist to give him some more maneuverability.
All right. Are you climbing
and he will
to the top?
So from what I understand, he was already on the head. Is that correct or incorrect?
Oh, yeah, you were on the head. Yeah.
So he's going to rappel down slightly to meet the wasp about halfway, if at all possible, or at least help her, or grab one of the crates, one of the two.
Okay.
Excellent.
My thought right now is to because I have 3 actions. So first of all, is the 35 enough to grab one?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Because my thought is grab one, throw one to you, grab another, and then climb. If I can do that.
Ooh. That is good. That is dex-based, simple weapon for throwing. I will calculate that and roll that to throw it to him. And then what was the third thing you said you were going to do?
So I grab the one, throw it to him, grab another, and climb up. Or is that too many?
All right. Grab one, throw it. You can grab another, but not climb. But he can help you make it easier next time, depending on what he does on his turn.
Okay. Cool. So then, do you want me to make another thievery check? Okay. And then, is that successful for him to catch?
Yes, it is. He would use a reaction to receive the catch, which is easy because it technically hit him. So barring a nat 1, okay, yeah, he will be fine. And that one would have pushed him to a likely failure. And yes, that's also success to catch another one. And now you're sliding on the shoulder here. Dorian, you have 3 actions. What do you do?
Does he start these actions with the rope around his waist or around his hand?
It is around your waist, as you did.
Alright. And he has 1 crate in his hands now. Yes?
Yes. Yep. You caught it. Yep.
Alright. Can he manage to hold the crate and help the Vesperin up, or is there someplace on top where he can deposit the crate and then meet the Vesperin halfway down?
If you were trying to just drop the crate in and see what happens, you could.
No, he doesn't want to explode it yet. He wants to wait for the other crate.
If you tied your rope around the crate and lowered it in, you could use it as a counterweight for the pulling action of the rope hoisting something or somebody up.
Is there a risk of it falling into the head and exploding?
Well, it doesn't look like there's anything. There's smoke coming out from the head, but you don't know what else is in there.
Perfect.
So yeah, it's kind of something.
I love it. Let's do it.
All right. I think that's a tricky one. What skill do you think Dorian would have to make to try to nail this? Thievery's a catch-all for nimble fingers. Tying someone up, I believe, is a thievery check.
Well, that would be terrible. Tell me that there is another option.
Well, what do you think?
Survival, maybe? Or athletics?
I could see survival because you're used to like doing snares and like lassos and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, Boy Scouts have to learn knots. That's survival.
Yeah, you know what?
I mean,
Growing up in the forest,
survival is kind of an iffy rule, but it's better than thievery.
It's about not dying, and that's sort of what you're going for now. Make a survival check for me.
Oh, this is going to be terrible. Not too terrible.
Yeah, you know what? It's a good one. It seems like a nice tie.
Insert
lower it
cool
if you
counterweight here. Yes.
All right. Well, you have 2 actions. So what do you do?
Evil secure another rope using his bow and magic arrow. And allow that to add some additional leverage to the situation, which will take 2 actions, and prepare for Vesperin's arrival.
Okay. All right. Waldorff, you're high above this thing.
Yo.
It's not a threat to you. What do you do?
I would like to. I'd like to look for those cooling wards that we talked about. That I would know are here that kind of keep this place from being super unbearably hot inside the furnace. Is there one within my flying distance that I could be able to get over to be able to inspect and take Poppy with me?
Yeah, there is one about 30 feet down. If you're headed down, it's still safe. It's not quite. It's still away from this thing. At least it looks like for now. But you would be heading down, essentially toward this beast instead of away from it. But there is
I'm
a
okay
beam
with that
sitting
as long
there.
as we're still kind of out of reach.
Yeah, it seems like a safe play.
Yeah, so I'd like to do that and see if there's anything that I can do to maybe overload that ward or amp it up a little bit. This thing seems pretty fire-based, or at least internally. It seems like it likes being hot, so if I can cool it off, maybe we can slow it down a bit.
Yeah. You can head down in an action, slipping over.
Okay.
Do you bring Poppy with you?
I would check with her and make sure that that's okay. If she gives me a quick nod or something, then I'll go ahead and go with it. Yeah. So she's cool with coming along. I'll take her with me.
Yeah. Well, you make it down, and inspecting the cooling wards, so you have 2 actions left. You notice many of these beams, they ran from the outside of this circular chamber to this hill in the center. It didn't make sense why this thing was here. Now it's quite clear that it was maybe a sleeping place or a hibernation for this creature that's now rising. Most of these beams have snapped off, and many of them have already fallen into the lava below. You imagine it could have rendered them inert if the beams just melted away. The ruins are ruined. But you have this one, and inspecting it, you can make a check if you would like, if you have a lore, or I imagine you just want to use crafting, honestly.
Yeah, I think crafting would probably be my best bet.
All right,
I don't know a whole lot about arcane, but maybe my gods will be with me.
Yeah. It's dwarven, so you get a bonus still. 36. Yeah, well, I mean, these things are, it's the antithesis of a fire-based rune. It does the opposite. It's channeling fire energy and moving it elsewhere. It looked like what this was doing is it was feeding it along directionally where the heat meets. There was a field of sorts that fed it into this thing. Was it about preventing people from burning to death, or was it about feeding this thing this heat? You don't know. But maybe it was both. That seems to be what these runes were doing.
Would it be potentially possible to reverse it and pull the heat away instead of feeding
it's a
heat into
directional. Yeah, it's a directional beam. It's shaped sort of like an I-beam with runes on the underside, and it's like a speed track that diverts heat exceptionally fast. So maybe this would be like bloodletting to this thing. That you think about it. You'd have to find some critical spot for it, though.
I am still large.
Yep.
I am still in my I am still using my divine vessel.
Right.
I would just kind of look at Poppy and go, "What do you think, Pop? Any ideas?"
Can answer on my turn.
Oh, you can answer now.
She definitely like does not seem focused on anything that you're doing right now. So
Okay.
it's kind of strange. She
All right.
spent 10 years somewhere.
This is true. She seems shaken, to say the least. But you still have an action left. You know that some people are actually foolish enough to try to take this thing on. You're above them. A well-placed throw could put this tool in their hands, but if you feel like it's better in yours, should you think you could conjure the might to use it effectively, you could probably try to wield it, maybe?
Okay, that's what I was thinking. Is if I could somehow like use it like a spear or something. Does this seem like it's going to be a pretty safe place to leave Poppy for the time being, or does it look like if I leave her here on her own, she's going to wind up getting in the path of this thing and getting hurt?
Yeah, well, standing, looking down this thing, turning as it rises out. You look to your left. There's a nook. It looks like a cave that winds down somewhere. Do you imagine? I mean, if you go far enough, maybe it's not seeking people out. And the ghouls seem to be fleeing as fast as they can, at least the ones that survived this thing. So obviously they were out of the loop about this whole situation. So maybe there's a place you could run over and place her. If not, you could ask Rune or Sailix. You're speaking telepathically, I believe. You could ask one of them to get her.
Yeah, I think that
Sure.
Dorf is kind of in, like, just like I am right now, Dorf is in kind of a moment of indecision. He would kind of call out to kind of everybody, specifically Rune and Sailix, because I feel like those are the two that he's kind of got the most connection to, especially Rune when it comes to Poppy. And
Yeah.
I would say, he'd say, I've got a hold of one of these support columns with the cooling ward on it. What do you want me to do, Rune?
That'll take us to Rune's turn. Go ahead.
Oh, it's my turn already. All right.
Double voicing it.
Okay. So Rune just got the question from Dorf. He, not a split second earlier, had a mass influx of information from a spell, and he is going to pull off. Well, he's going to turn, kind of skidding to a bit of a stop and attempt to. No, do I talk or do I? He'll follow Sailix's lead, and he will yell at it in what was the Ignan?
Ignan. Ignan. What do you say?
He just yells, "Stop! Stop!"
All right. Are you trying to make a check with that? Maybe
That's
intimidation.
probably a
Brevity
wise
isn't
move,
enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know intimidation. I don't know if intimidation is really what he's going for here. He's really just because he doesn't want to piss it off because it's clearly already pissed off. He's really wanting to calm it down. So maybe diplomacy.
Yeah. It's a thin line, Ignan. Diplomacy and intimidation are almost the same thing. It's said the language of Ignan, it's percussive. Sounds like a crackling hearth, actually. Native to the plane of fire. One of the faster languages, Everything is just a wrapping of bitter words. So yeah, whatever you would like.
All right. Oh, all right. Wish me luck.
Luck.
Oh, that's not bad. That's good. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. It's not a critical failure. But
It's not a critical.
Well.
actions left. I think it's 2 actions.
So fucked up.
All right, so that clearly went nowhere. Then is that the implication that Rune is immediately getting off of this?
Well, I mean, but it's not for nothing. Now this thing knows you speak Ignan. And maybe likely would actually see you as you do this and turn the head. It's wearing a crown of 2 of your friends as they're dancing around planning things. It doesn't see this, however. It measly flees to this creature, but it notices you. I think you have 2 actions left.
I do. All right, so Rune is going to pull a Gandalf and a full-on "You shall not pass" with an effect from his staff as he does slam it into the ground, causing a 40-foot span in front of him to be. Well, it's a repulsion spell. The creature must succeed at a will save, or it cannot move into the area.
Ooh. Excellent. If you're trying to target this thing, by the way, there is a token right there in that here corner. That should work. It's not that scale. It's true to the image that you see in the background.
It's
but
not
you said
that scale.
No, that's the default. I'm not doing that. So yeah, this will be. You said a will save.
Yeah, DC 33. Fuck
Succeeds. Pulling itself out. You see
off.
magma just
Well, that's
dripping
unfortunate.
off of its legs. Hmm.
1 second. Let me check the success. So it treats each square. So I'm guessing the size of one of its feet. The area that it's walking through is now considered difficult terrain as it attempts to move toward me.
Excellent. So movement has now, yeah, it's staggering. You know, this thing has a mind because the will save was made. It's still affected. It's heard you. Do you have anything else?
No, that would have taken the last 2 actions on that last one.
All right, Sailix.
Sailix is fly like relatively close to Rune, but he is holding his action at this point. He is like murmuring to himself though, in a frantic manner.
Yes. Does beg the question, where's Aghi in this? Huh?
You leave her out of this.
I've telepathically, you can leave her out of this if you want, or you can even ask her. It sounds like she's caught up interrogating somebody. She learned it from you.
Oh God, you gotta stop saying that.
Runs in the
Make me
family.
proud.
Yeah, she's fine. So what are you trying to do here?
So yeah, Sailix, he'll be within 15, 20 feet of Rune while flying, but he's gonna hold his action largely. But like he's doing something just softly to himself at this point.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. So this thing is hampered. It can't move. Much at all, but it looks up. Rune, are you in the form of a dragon currently?
No, he's not.
All right. Well, it looks up at the little wizard then. A large crack. An arm rises and it pulls a boulder. Throws it directly at you.
Oh. Of course it does.
So 35 is a hit.
God
Yeah.
damn.
Yeah.
Just give me 1 second.
I do
much health do you
have 31. I also have energy resistance against fire of 5, I believe.
Yeah. Should it have hurled magma? That would have helped you here. The rock smashes into you. 24 points of damage. You're still standing.
Well, that's questionable.
Yeah, you can feel the hairs of the arm of death brushing against your cheek. Metaphorically, you are so close. But you're still moving. It casts a spell. I want you to make a save for me. I believe it's a will save.
All right.
Might not be, but we'll use the dice result if it has to be a different bonus. It's actually a fortitude save.
Oh, I can roll fortitude then. My bad.
All right. You're slowed 1. That arm that threw the boulder at you clenches into a massive fist. Your father's built houses, grand pieces of work, smaller than this fist, but as it clenches, you feel the flow of time dilute just a little bit. You're slow, you're stagnant, you're like prey. That's the end of its turn, though. Aghi, aren't you beating the shit out of Deadmouth? What do you do?
Yeah. Basically, she has like her forearm just pushed against his throat and is trying to get him to talk, yet is crushing his esophagus too much, so he's probably only able to gasp. She's not very good at this questioning thing. Who the fuck brought you back?
They're in the temple. They're bringing us all back. The curse, it's to be spread. Oh, you're all doomed.
How do we stop it?
Just kill me.
She'll just snap his neck.
Excellent. He twitches out a little smile. Deja vu as you watch this thing die. Is it temporary? You might wonder. You have 2 actions left. What do you do?
She, how far away is the mouth of the cave that she's in?
It would take you 2 actions to get back to where you would actually see this creature. To re-enter the line of sight here.
Yeah, so she is going to drag Deadmouth's body behind her to the mouth of the cave with the intent to throw it in the lava.
All right. You get a chance to see this rock smash and shatter into ruin. He does a spin, violent inertia, twisting in the air before he catches himself. And this spell effect, as this massive fey creature targets him with some sinister magic. It's calamity. Some people seem fine, though. Vesperin is standing on the head of this thing, by the way. As you arrive, you can speak telepathically, but otherwise, it's Poppy's turn.
Yes. How far is Rune from Poppy? Let's see.
It's diagonal. He is above and to the side. Sailix seems to be keeping an eye on both of them, but even he seems hesitant. Caught up in something. Yeah, I mean, you trust you can get a distance if you need to.
Yeah, so Poppy is going to start climbing to see if she can get any closer to Rune.
All right.
Saying a prayer as she goes.
Make an athletics check for me. 3 actions worth. Will take you probably roughly wherever you need to be. And then, depending on that, Vesperin.
Okay.
She's not
Oh boy. So yeah, I'm gonna try climbing up there. If I can, I have what is it? Where is it? The I had like some sort of wall jumping thing. So I was wondering if that would help me get up there faster or not.
Yeah, and depending on where Dorian's arrow rope
There it
is,
is.
you might be able to use that as well.
Okay. Yeah, basically, I would like to attempt to parkour my way up here with my crate of explosives, because I am assuming that I can't carry more than one, right?
No, you can't.
Okay, cool. Then yeah. So is acrobatics okay, or do you want athletics?
Acrobatics is great. This will allow you, wall jump will allow you to perform a high jump and a long jump at the same time, and then landing adjacent. This will essentially let you bounce off the spikes at the neck of this creature to get to roughly Dorian. So yeah, just
I'm picturing like the Mario 64, like wahoo!
yes.
But you know, the less whimsical version. I'm assuming 37 is good.
Yeah, 37 is great.
Okay.
That will get you up there.
Cool. So yeah, what do we see looking down there?
A tunnel of smoke rising up, but then it looks like a flat platform underneath. No magma. This thing, I mean, if it's made to look like a volcano, it might be a costume, almost. I mean, it looks like a landing. Hewn stone, almost, maybe, even. Make a perception check. I don't know.
I will
Didn't hear
make
it
a
from me.
perception check. Alright.
It's because I wanted to, not because you told me to.
Right. Okay.
And Dorian, you're next as well. You can work in tandem. What would you like to do? Nat 1.
Me?
Critical failure. Yeah.
Ah,
Actually,
fuck.
regular failure.
Yeah. Let's see. I guess
Communicate
I'll
to Dorian.
hero point it. Yeah, or like, you know, yeah, she'll just be like, do you see anything? Like, the smoke's getting in my eye. Can you see anything?
Oh, this is a wonderful date. Thank you.
Yeah.
Dorian is going to attempt to peer down the They crack, so to speak.
Suddenly, Sailix pushes him.
Shadow blast. Positive energy. No, so yeah, you can peer down.
Someone's jealous.
I'm just crestfallen. So yeah, make a perception check. See what you see down there.
Don't mind if I do.
And I imagine you're also lowering a crate into there, right?
Correct.
All right.
Well, let's see what it is first.
Yeah, well, it'll take a while to get down. Yeah, it looks like a flat landing. I mean, there's as much light coming out as smoke. So you imagine there could be magma or something glowing or some core in here. You don't know. It's not a dark chamber. It's about as bright as the eyes that you see on this beast. But there's a flat platform there somewhere.
Little Wasp, do you have explosives?
You know I do.
Excellent. If you toss these crates in, I will hit them. And then we'll see what happens.
Waldorff, are you headed that way? Where are you headed?
I hadn't actually moved yet, but yeah, I was thinking about heading that direction and bringing this big beam with me.
Right, yeah, so we'll use the movement, any unspent actions from your last turn, if you had them, and then you can do this turn.
I think I had
Dorian and Vesperin,
one.
you would see him. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you have a move action from last turn, and then your 3 actions this turn. As you're holding this beam, I believe you're flying too?
Yeah. My fly speed is 20 feet. I'm holding a beam that is covered in a cooling ward that maybe we can drive it into the middle of this thing and suck some of the heat out of it. Could I give Poppy the opportunity to, like, maybe, piggyback if she wants to, or head towards that opening, stay if she wants, come if she wants?
Yeah, it looks like Poppy immediately took to climbing up to get out. So it seems, so she's just sort of making her way up. So she seems safe, relatively safe. You imagine Sailix or Rune, see her.
Try and go down and meet Vesperin and Dorian with this this massive beam.
Yeah, and you'll see them on the rim there as they're talking. So go ahead.
And I am big boy.
Yeah, Vesperin would look at Dorian and be like, "Well, I don't want to just chuck them in there because we don't know. We gotta be strategic. We only got the 2, yeah. So there's weak spots where we can." That's the idea, right?
Do you know the physiology of this thing?
No, but I know how to blow shit up pretty well.
Find a fault line.
Yeah. There have been many stone structures that I have exploded to great success.
Did they all have legs?
One, but that one kind of toppled over, but who's fucking counting?
Listen, little Wasp, just give me the explosives. I will blow it up when you're ready.
So I guess my question is, so my intention is to, if the platform seems like a landing platform, if it seems feasible to, basically climb down with the rope that has one of them on it already, and then have the other one in her hand, so then Dorian can lower her, so then I can place them in strategically good places.
Yeah, and it's about 40 feet down. I wonder if you could make a jump there safely. 40 is kind of a lot, but you're very graceful.
I think
Would I be able to
that
help with that at all?
I would, yeah, like I would rather be lowered just in case, like we get closer and it is lava, so I can climb back up.
Oh, right. Yeah. Well, it looks like there's already a rope coming down with an explosive crate.
Oh,
Dorian was
Yeah,
using
that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying is if I could climb on that and then just take that down, so then if it seems fine, yeah. So like I guess she would get on the rope, and look at Dorian and Dorf as he's coming by and just be like, okay, so plan is we blow this the fuck up, then he goes and sticks that cooling thing in it after those gooey bits. Seem good?
Brain freeze.
Aye.
A massive brain freeze. You put a hole in
As
it,
you
I'll
lower-
stick the straw in and point it the other direction.
If you were to lower yourself on that crate, standing on that explosive crate, fastened to this rope, Dorian, it's not a high DC because it is a flat check, but I want a flat strength check for you to hold this rope and navigate it
Three.
safely. You hear oh yeah, you manage it fine, except this thing as it rises, it feels disturbed, angry. It doesn't maybe know why, but it lets out that roar again. This time his eyes glow red, and they leave this scorching, radiant heat that rises up, covering its face as it comes up. You're suddenly swept by this wave of hot air. I need you to make a reflex save.
Okay.
You feel as if you had fallen into an oven. Oh no, not Vesperin. You are fine because you're on your way down.
Okay.
But the person holding the rope needs to make this reflex save. As well as Mr. Sky Steel. I can make that save for you. Ooh! Waldorff, you succeed. Dorian, you fail. You do have a hero point.
I feel it should be spent.
It will be done. Go ahead again. Seven. Excellent. You meet the DC barely, and with that, you manage to hang on to the rope. You're taking only a couple of points of damage. Same with you, Waldorff, but you know that this thing is heating up by the second. Vesperin seems fine, though, as this heat is rising. It's not so hot on the inside, strangely enough. I believe Dorian and Waldorff, you have actions, but Dorian first, what do you do?
Dorian is going to brace himself appropriately in order to ensure the wasp's safety.
All right.
So all actions will be going towards that for now.
And Waldorff.
I would be orienting this timber, this pillar, so that, because you said it's kind of directional, right? That it's pulling heat from one direction and pushing it the other direction.
Yeah, the horizontal lines in these runes as sharp arrows, they sort of indicate the direction that the heat had been going. These beams all along had been feeding directly into this thing.
Yeah, I would flip it around so that it's feeding the heat away from this thing and kind of get ready to pitch it down into its head. Make sure that I'm not going to hit Vesperin with it. Like almost like a giant spear.
Well,
this thing might remind you. Go ahead.
I was gonna say like we had said basically like let's wait till the rock part is blown up. So
Well, my only concern really is that if it is full of magma and then I do chuck this thing down into the magma itself, that it might destroy it. Like, it might destroy the ward. So, if maybe we could even, for the time being, use it to make the area directly around Dorian and Dorf a little bit more bearable and not take, as much damage from the heat as this thing amps up. If we can use it to our advantage in that way.
yeah.
Interesting. It looks to be concentrated energy bursts coming from the eyes in particular.
Okay. Oh, maybe I could shove it in his eye. Is there any way for me to use like a crafting check to replicate the runes on another surface of the post of the timber? Like flip it over and do it again and see if I can put a second ward on the same piece? Maybe on my next turn if it's going to take too much time, or...
You can speak to Rune about that telepathically.
I would ask him that exact same question. Like, what do you think?
Yeah.
Do you think it'll work? Like, what are my odds? What are my chances?
Rune, you can make a crafting check. Waldorff, I'm making a crafting check for you.
Crafting, or do you want a Arcana? Which would be better?
Either. He's crafting a
I'll
rune.
do Arcana, it's better.
Yep. That'll be where your expertise intersect. Anyway.
Dorf, I feel like Dorf is like completely flying blind on almost everything right now. Like, he knows how to wield a hammer, and everything else is just kind of like,
Right.
oh, cross our fingers and hope it works.
Yeah, well, you have a backup plan that you can stab this thing in the eye.
Yeah.
When Rune can give you a response, you might have a great idea of what to do. I know that this Dalex's turn is coming up. Yeah, and Rune, it's your turn. What do you do?
So, will answering be an action?
You're telepathic. I'm going to say no.
Perfect. What is the answer that Rune comes up with the Arcana roll?
Well, these beams are what's powering the runes. The runes are instructions on this magical item that carries out said instructions. It's relatively mundane. Perhaps all it needs is more instructions. It could work. It might make this thing vent out further. It also might be highly unstable. These things might be paced at this speed for a reason. Theoretically, it might just be reading these runes and acting out, like going through the motions. So it genuinely might work. But it's probably dangerous.
All right, Rune's interpretation, and this kind of goes out to everyone, and it's slow. I think it could work, but it would be dangerous at best. Take a risk as you can.
This guy's about to take a nap.
Worth a shot.
Those who can see Rune see that he is physically moving slower. And so Rune has a choice to make. He can either attempt to banish this thing, and if that fails, he'll likely be the target of another attack, which would most certainly kill him, or at least put him in the path to death. Or he can dimension door the fuck out of there. So Rune's going to be attempting to banish. It is a will save, DC 33. And that's under the understanding from the hypercognition. He does believe it could be banished, just that it might be tough to banish. Is that right?
Yeah.
Because if he doesn't think it actually can be banished, then he's not going to try and banish it. It's just dumb.
Right. Let me find something. I can't find the tower. Can you roll a d20 into the tower and I'll add my bonus?
Oh, all right.
Describe this banish spell.
So Rune, again, moving very slowly, because the banish spell comes from the staff itself. He pulling the staff away from where it had planted in an attempt to repel the creature. His hand starts to slide up the length of the staff itself. Arcane energies sort of pulling and coalescing in his hand as it happens. His hand wraps around the gem at the top as he sweeps the staff in front of him. And just this wave of energy comes out, and it sort of ripples backwards, and as it ripples, these sort of ephemeral raven feathers kind of trail off at the end. As the wave sort of hits into the ground, it begins to arc and weave, working its way to the creature. As it reaches the feet of the creature, a circle begins to crack and form around the whole of the space that it encompasses. Arcane symbols appearing within that circle as it's formed, before completing a perfect circle around the creature itself. So the question is, did it fail?
It takes a while to form. You'll know the result after Sailix's turn.
Fair play, GM.
Sailix, you watch this
Well
happen. An attempt to banish this thing. It's masterfully cast, but this thing is massive. Greatest foe in size that you've seen so far in your 188 years. So what do you do, Sailix?
Sailix takes off towards Rune, and as he collides with him, he begins to push him away, like carrying him away as fast as he can with these wings to get him away from the mountain. He very much has himself between Rune and and Delos, but he'll spend all three of his turns trying to get as close to the shadows underneath as possible, utilizing the ground area as cover.
Right. Okay, which direction do you move, Rune, then?
Let's see. Well, that's really not a good map.
Towards Poppy, maybe?
Yeah.
There is some shadow there. Pulled away. This thing tracing you, it looks confused. You are all so nimble to this mega beast. And it's searching. It can't find Rune. As you dart it out in a flash, It grabs a rock again, breaking it open. A small tunnel starts to collapse. A building falls, plummets into the magma below. It hurls this at a moving enemy, whatever target it can find in its confusion. It's a critical hit. To Poppy, make a reflex save.
Motherfucker.
Gonna roll that into the tower.
No, you're fine. You catch yourself falling onto one arm and then grabbing back on. It takes another rock and then with its fist runs it along this magma pool. When it lifts it, it's dripping with magma. Another throw to Poppy. A critical hit, except this one is dealing magma damage as well, 4d6, except it's multiplied on a critical. 2, 4, 6, 8. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yeah, she's been used to watching stuff in slow motion. Now everything's going too fast for her.
Make another reflex save for me. And then Aghi, it's your turn.
Yes. So Aghi will telepathically just say that I have an idea. And you just kind of see her, she's at the entrance of the cave, and then she turns around and walks out.
I have an idea. Let's just leave.
And Poppy, what about you? You've been targeted. It's a miracle you're still scaling this rock. You know that this thing spotted you. Sailix and Rune aren't far away, but yeah, what do you do?
So Poppy doesn't seem to care about herself as much as getting closer to Rune.
Okay.
Her eyes are just sort of set on him, even with like the blood dripping down her face. So any movements that she can do to get closer.
All right. Yeah. Rune, you see this, and Poppy, you can speak telepathically to him or anyone else if you would like. Otherwise, Vesperin, Dorian,
Yes.
and Waldorff. What do you three do?
Okay, so
I stab him in the face.
I assume at this point, like I'm basically like near enough to the platform that I can tell like what it's made of or what it is.
Yeah, cut stone in a circle. You're about 10 feet from it. You can drop down to it if you would like. It looks like there's even a staircase around it.
Oh. She would be communicating this, like, like with thought images, by the way, to the rest of the party in telepathy. And yeah, I guess I'll try to I'll take the chance and drop down. Is it fine? Do I blow up now? Is this my death?
Yeah. The question is, Dorian, do you do the same? It looks like there's a lot down there.
If the
This thing has an anatomy.
To follow.
Yeah,
If
well,
the
this thing
Vesper
looks
needed him
unbreakable.
to follow.
It's what?
Go ahead.
This thing seems unbreakable from the outside. It would be like getting swallowed by a massive armadillo. In a way, you would have a chance at looking at something vital, something you can interact with. You're sitting duck up here, and so far you've seen what this thing can do. to squishy people your size. But it's up to you, Dorian.
Yeah, she'd be like, Oi! It's a bit weirder than we thought, but it seems safer than up there.
Once the little wasp is safely on the landing, Dorian will attempt to join her.
While he's climbing down, can I case the area to try to see if there are any weak spots or useful things? The stuff, anything we can use to try to okay.
So Dorian is making it down. Do I have that right? Is Dorian headed down there as well?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
The head of this thing.
If I look, okay.
And yeah, and Waldorff, you can see this. You can make out their forms down there. You can go down if you'd like, or if the plan is still to try to make an attempt at this thing's eye, you can.
I'm actually gonna. Do I see any more of these beams that are still intact? Or was this the only one?
No, there are a couple more scattered about. They're far away by now, maybe almost 100 feet. So it would be something of a nuisance to get them.
Is this platform that they're on, judging from the depth inside the head, how far above the eyes is this platform?
It is below the eyes. It is
so
esophagus.
I could conceivably. Oh.
Yeah, potentially.
I think okay. Yeah, I think that Waldorff was on board with the plan until he saw this thing chuck a rock at Poppy, and he reacts emotionally. And I'm going to shove this thing into its eyeball.
Excellent. So that will be a melee attack versus this thing's AC. It won't be this normal damage. It will be something
I am going to
different.
try and keep my grip on the timber. So if I can then, withdraw it and shove it into the other eye, I'm going to try that.
Right. Melee attack to this wretched beast. It's a hit. Puncturing immediately. It's a metallic sort of eye beam with runes along the bottom, and it allows that opening. You see immediately a burst of heat just riding along it like a track as it pipes out like a firework. This thing lets out a guttural scream as its essence is being blown out along the cave wall. Some of these shacks just start melting as the heat from this thing dissipating out of the eye just starts putting so much heat on the rock that it starts to wear down the side of the cave. This thing flails about. It sounds quite furious. You have one action left. You moved, and then you struck. What do you do?
I will then leave. I'll leave the I-beam in place, and I will fly back up to the opening at the top, and kind of try and get line of sight on Vesperin and Dorian.
Excellent. And then it is another reflex save for this heat that is emanating off of this thing. It's a fail, but it's not a lot of heat damage. So I imagine you wouldn't try to hero point it.
No.
6 points of damage is nothing really to be that concerned with, but you do make your way back up. Rune, however, 2d6 is probably much worse for you. So it's your turn. What do you do?
Where did we end up?
right near Poppy.
Actually,
All right.
Dorian, Vesperin. I believe you both have 2 actions left from moving down to the base.
Yeah.
You leave
We
her
do.
alone.
I rolled my perception into the tower. Like, what all?
Oh yeah, no,
Like-
not one. You see
Again?
little more than the map provides. Yep, there's a stair, or it's a
Jesus.
nat. No, nat
All the
3.
smoke in
Still
my-
nothing.
Okay.
Lava, and a staircase leading down into a tunnel somewhere below. To the south. And that weirdly smooth platform, like a landing.
God, I can only imagine
feel-
what that scream sounded like inside this thing.
Yeah,
like-
actually, and you do see that coming through, and suddenly heat being sucked out and up out of this thing. Luckily, from where you're standing, the heat doesn't pass through you at all. But yeah, what do you do?
I feel like she'd look at Dorian with like one of the explosive barrels under her arm and look at the tunnel and just be like, "Shall we continue our day?"
Did you need to ask, Little Wasp?
Consent is sexy, isn't it?
He picks up the crate.
I guess let's
Or his
go
crate,
into
anyway.
the into the spooky place.
Yeah.
As a note, Ian, Vesperin is going to be checking for traps along the way because she's very paranoid about that now.
All right. Yeah.
So
Perception check.
I don't know. Okay.
As you would descend.
Hopefully, it's not terrible.
All right. So this was what you first got, which is a nat 3 for a 26. This is what you got second.
Wait, what?
A nat 3 for a 26. Yes. Got 2
Seriously?
3s in a
I
row.
keep rolling. Oh my god! What the fuck, dice? All right.
Dorian, you can check for traps as well, I think. Well, you can make
Please,
perception
please.
checks. I don't know if
Yeah.
it's precisely check for traps.
I don't think. I don't know if that's actually a specific thing anymore.
Yeah, I think you're right. Nat 20. 39. Yeah, you don't see any traps. But you merrily make your way down further into this thing's anatomy. It seems nice. It seems cooler in here as this Dallo shrieks, its heat being exhausted through its head. But it's still standing, of course. Rune, you're also still standing. Poppy's headed up towards you. Augie's fucked
and
off
again,
somewhere. Sailix might have saved your life. What do you do?
Vesperin communicates where they're going in telepathy, also.
How safe is Poppy at the moment?
I mean,
Questionable.
Poppy seems fine. Unless this thing keeps striking her, it's really hard to tell.
How far away is she from where Rune is?
Gotta swap my audio source. All right. Yeah, Wizard, what do you do?
How far away is Poppy from Rune right now?
20 feet?
20 feet?
25 feet, maybe?
he is going to. He's going to cast Force Wall. Vertically versus horizontally to create a protected path for her to climb up. So it's going to curve basically around Poppy, giving her a shield as she climbs up the pit wall.
How many actions do you have left?
None after that.
All right. Sailix.
Yes, me.
You see Rune do this. He chose to protect
Oh,
Poppy.
wait. Actually, let me ask a question. Is Rune still slowed?
Yeah.
Then
For
yeah,
a minute.
no, he has nothing. Okay.
Excellent.
So
do you
he
do,
protected
Sailix?
Poppy.
Yep.
All right. So Sailix will, since Rune's still slowed, just kind of pick him up, kind of like in his arms, and just take off. And as he's moving around into the shadow of the beast, he's like, "We tried it your way. Now we try it mine." As he's going to try and get into the darkest shadow he can find.
Well, this wall of force doesn't seem to cast the shadow anywhere, but there is a little cave nook, not far off. Do you move in there?
Yeah.
All right. And Rune, you did succeed your save, so it was actually one round. You have an action left. You have been moved into this dark nook. It looks like Sailix has some semblance of a plan. So what do you do with your action? I believe you both have one action left.
Rune can't do much except give himself a shield.
All right.
Sailix will spend his action in kind of like half of it telling Rune what he's going to do. And he draws a small dagger across the back of his hand, dripping blood onto the floor, in a black inked fluid, as he starts to speak in Celestial in a low, doubled voice. Sailix did ask for Rune to try and help make it as dark as possible.
Darkness spell. How many actions is that?
Darkness spell is 2 action spell.
All right. The Dalos.
Oh no, I stand corrected. It's
Quite
a 3
angry.
action spell.
Oh, okay. And the Dalos is quite angry. It seems the people to take this anger out on have vanished. All that is, except for Skysteel. Impulsive rage. It attempts to punch him as you're standing
Try to
there.
swat a fly.
Top. A fist attack. 40 will be a hit. Damage of bludgeoning. Plus fire.
Since I'm flying, does that like swat me? Oh, does that move me? Since it hit me
I
with
don't
a fist.
think so. No, but this rock might. hurled 34 would hit as well.
I wish I had my shield.
This does knock you back as you take another 25 points of damage, and now this time it attempts to just do away with the pleasantries and try to grab you with this fist. Now that it knows roughly where you are in its blind spot. 39 versus your fortitude. Your fortitude DC is 30. You're grabbed by its fist, yanked down violently in a dizzying flourish as this thing lets out its anger. Aghi, where are you headed?
Aghi is full on sprinting as fast as she can to Crestwatch.
Crestwatch, do you tell anybody about this?
She would tell Sailix telepathically.
All right. Good communication. We're making progress. As fast as you possibly can, wearing dead mouth for a scarf. And Poppy, you've been given a path up this rock. Rune has disappeared into a cavern under Sailix's care, and this thing seems distracted. You have a chance here to get away unscathed. You're not a great climber, though. What do you do?
No, she's very much frustrated that everyone is just getting hurt around her. And that Sailix keeps flying off with Rune. She can't feel him.
So where are you going?
He was like 50 feet in the air.
Gosh dang it. Is she closer to Waldorff or to Rune at this point?
Way closer to Rune.
Okay.
Waldorff is clutched in the hand of this mountain.
Oh, an arrow's not going to do anything.
Yeah, the wall of force is kind of puts a damper.
Is she in the telepathy or no?
Poppy,
Poppy
I
is
don't
not.
Poppy
think so.
and Dorian are not.
Okay. Never mind.
Yeah, so... gosh dang it. Yeah, she's just utterly does not know what to do, and will continue to try and get to Rune. She knows that he's in a bad way, and she can heal him if the angel would stop taking him away from her. That's her plan.
All right.
I mean, he didn't make it a secret they were going in the cave.
As long as Poppy's okay, that's the important part.
Dorf agrees.
Vesperin, you can make another perception check
Okay.
as you make your way down. Ooh, excellent. Well, you see this thing coming before it rises up, but as you make your way down only one small flight of stairs, you reach what feels like maybe the heart of this thing.
Okay.
You were at what seemed like its head, but now this is something different. You stop yourself. You're at this edge. It looks like cross beams going down as far as you can see. A small pebble bounces off several beams, making an echo. And you see at the center, at the heart of this thing, a beast. Looks up at you.
Oh boy.
It doesn't get a surprise round in this initiative, but it does have initiative over you. It seems to take a stance of preparation as it guards this molten orb here, standing tall, flaring a tail, opening its maw and stretching its arms out in a martial stance. It doesn't speak, but it is your turn. What do you do?
Okay. So first of all, she's going to like send a mental snapshot to Rune with just like help, like but the heart of it. How is it? Is it a big orb or is it like a hand-sized orb? Like, what are we talking here?
It is your entire arm span in diameter.
Okay.
Perfectly spherical, radiating heat.
Okay.
And of course, this thing is just standing before it, quite massive, actually.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's see. Oh boy.
He's pretty.
Yeah. This sucks. God, I don't know what to do.
You have tools at your disposal here. Gravity is an element. This thing is balancing on a platform barely its own size. But yeah, whatever you want to do.
I want to throw my bottled lightning at it.
All right.
Because if that works, it could knock it off balance, because it, at the very least, knocks creatures flat-footed. So, how do I roll that?
You're attempting to knock this thing off balance?
I want to throw my bottled lightning at it.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Because that makes creatures flat-footed if it hits on top of all the lightning. So,
right.
And it's an explosion, so I would imagine that, you know, it'd have to try not to fall off.
It hits.
Okay. So, yeah, let's see. It does 2d6 electricity and 2 electricity of splash damage. And it becomes flat-footed until the start of my next turn.
All right.
Does it knock it over?
It critically saves its reflex to remain stable. With a back step, it lands on another loose beam, gracefully, perfectly, keeping balance over the chasm below. It stares at you. You're in the belly of this monstrous Dalos. Maybe the heart of it. You don't know what's going on with this mega construct. But you do feel it every time it tips and walks and shambles along. You still feel very much in this thing. In turn, this elemental is also wobbling to keep balance with this thing. So one is to hope it doesn't tip over anytime soon, right? I think you have 2 actions left.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna try to throw another bottle of lightning at it, because I still have 3.
Yeah. I think you do too.
Yes. Whatever you want me to roll for that, do the thing.
All right. $33 is ahead as well.
Okay.
So that's another 2d6
Uh,
in addition to the first. Or was it 3d6? Is this greater bottle? No, this is moderate bottled lightning.
no, moderate, yeah. Yeah, 2d6 and 2 electricity for splash.
Perfect.
And, again, still flat-footed.
Right.
Does it, what was I gonna say? Does it, is it knocked, off from that second blast or no?
Yeah, well, it stumbles again. There's been an impact above. Something shook it. It steps. This time a pillar crumbles and it catches on the stump below it. It's still balanced, but you hear the echoing now of the rocks finally reaching the bottom of this creature. Perhaps this thing is hollow on the inside or something. That's a long way of a drop. You have an action left. What do you do?
I want to try to, can I do, like, make a distraction so I can go into stealth? Like a fainting action to stealth?
Sure.
Okay.
Is that deception?
Make it, yes.
All right, yeah. Yeah, make a deception. Successful.
So basically, I figure what she does is, like, she pulls out, another jar that looks like a bomb and throws it at it. And then while it's, like, ducking to dodge the bomb that's just an empty jar, she ducks behind, like, into the shadows or behind a rock or something.
Yeah, yep. Gracefully, you find a spot where you would be unnoticed. Now, Dorian, what do you do?
It is
So
flat-footed
Dorian sees this
too.
very large creature and a glowing orb. Is that correct?
Yep.
He pulls out an arrow. It shimmers as he draws it. He will be spending a free action to turn the arrow into a spell strike arrow with a telekinetic projectile, while also taking his full 3 actions to do an eldritch arrow, empowering it again with telekinetic projectile. And he will take aim at the orb.
The orb!
Yes.
Interesting. Okay. And because these things are all happening more or less simultaneously, while you're doing that, I want to ask, Waldorff, what are you doing? Would you be following Dorian
Squirming.
and the Vesperin?
I'm clutched in its hand at the moment.
Oh, right! That should be an athletics check versus a fortitude DC to break free. I can roll that
Yeah,
for you.
sure. I guess I'll try and
Yeah.
get out.
I mean, you have your hammer on you. You can just wail away if you would like, but
Like break
If
off
not,
at the
make
wrist.
this
Those
skills
look
check.
like pretty thick wrists, so I don't think I'd be able to
Yeah.
actually do much damage.
Hit the pressure point.
oh, we got a 3. Do you
Right
want
on
to use
that
a hero
wrist
point?
bone.
You want to use a hero point?
Yeah. Yeah, I'll go ahead and use the hero point for that.
All right. Yeah, I wouldn't want to be grabbed by this thing. You're its only target right now
No.
anyway.
I just don't want it to like squeeze real hard and squish him. Still doesn't get out?
I'm not certain. Yeah, I'm not certain 30 does it. I'll check, though. I think you have 2 actions left.
I will actually go ahead and cast Regenerate on myself.
Good idea. Yeah, and I'm making a reflex save for you too. This heat aura is setting in yet again. It's a fail, but not a critical fail. It's not a lot of damage. It's like a day at the forge, but it's not optimal. So it would be worthwhile to get out of this at some point soon. And regenerate is 2 actions.
I believe so. Yes.
All right. Well, you can cast Regenerate, Rune, and Sailix. What do you do?
Oh my god.
Dorian didn't get a chance to go.
Oh, yes. Did you... Sorry about that. Yeah, so for your... Did you roll your damage for that attack?
I didn't roll to hit yet because I couldn't target the actual ball.
Okay, just make the roll into the chat log. I'll run it to the creature.
Okay. Well, it's not to the creature, it's to the orb.
Oh, okay, yeah. I've got a DC for it.
Alright.
Yeah, it's a hit.
Is it a critical?
Yep,
Yes.
it's a critical hit.
So, Dorian just sort of peeks out, eyes the 2 targets, pulls back in, throws his arrow, and then peeks out again, taking a very quick aim at the orb, pulls back and fires. As it traverses the debris and heat and fire and all of the stone and flotsam that is in this place begin to coalesce around the arrow as it slams into the orb itself, doing the first set of crit damage.
All right.
There's
you're
the
self-targeted. I will fix
other half of that one. So that is 47 for the first one.
All right.
The second one, that is a 67. So that's 114
Alright.
plus.
Okay.
But wait, there's more.
All right. All right.
I feel like I'm watching Billy Mays on a commercial again.
But wait, there-
All right.
Plus 16, so 130.
All right. You get a hero point. This thing shatters through the arrow. The arrow shatters too as it enters it. The debris, some bits, remnants left, hit this thing. And you feel a low rumble. That's your action, though, right?
Oh yeah, that's it. That's everything.
All right. Yeah, it does shatter. But the glow is still present. As far as you can tell, it's only been a couple of seconds. But up top, Rune, Ravenswood, and Sailix, I believe.
What does Rune see right now?
So far, nothing. Nothing's changed except this thing is looking to clobber Waldorff to death with mild success.
Does it?
Actually,
Does he see the creature at all? Or no?
This Dalos?
No, does Rune see Dalos at all? Or is Rune stuck in a cave somewhere?
Oh, well, Sailix moved you to a point of safety around a corner in a cave, but it's not far away. You've just moved out of line of sight, unless you wish to go further. You know telepathically that Aghi certainly is. But Sailix seems to be hanging near the lip of this cavern overlooking this massive hole.
All right. So 2 things to Sailix. 1, is Poppy all right? Can you see her? And then 2, actually it depends on the answer to that one. So if Poppy is all right, he will say, lead it to Crestfall. If he says Poppy is not all right, he will scream for him to save her.
Poppy's still okay, right? Like where they left,
Looks
where
like Poppy's
she was.
Yeah, following up this wall of force, I think. Unless, Poppy, were you headed somewhere else?
Nope, she's heading to Rune.
Heading to Rune. That was where you spent your actions, moving over. Okay, well then we didn't do your 3 actions. I thought you were moving up. Yeah, so if you moved over, as Rune is saying this, the hand of a Poppy Ravenswood reaches the ledge to pull herself up into this cave where she saw Rune move into. Rune, if that changes what you were about to say, you could act accordingly.
If Rune sees his sister, he's perfectly fine with that. And will simply tell Sailix to lead it to Crestwall, or Crestwatch. He will then take 2 actions and cast Soothe on himself because he is in a crap load of pain.
Smart play.
So, I thought so. It's one of the few he's had today.
Well, okay.
And I think between that'll take his actions for the round.
Yeah.
I can't imagine how
Sailix.
he would spend 1 extra action other than to keep shield up.
Sailix, you've some orders. You've also some of your own ambitions. What do you do?
So as Sailix is kind of in front of him, he steps out past Poppy and he kind of holds his hand out, or he pulls both of his hands out, and the shadows start to swirl around him, like get darker as he starts to talk faster in Celestial. And Rune would probably realize what's like happening is there are chunks of shadows that are floating around him that are actual sigils that are just kind of floating free in the air as they start to coalesce in front of him. And the ground starts to shake as if something is starting to pull out of the shadow.
Right.
And Sailix will spend his turns casting that spell. It won't let me do it, but right.
That's fine.
Up to a gargantuan size creature.
Right. And gargantuan size. Well, you come to realize that this thing is formidable. This dark energy pulling out of this cave opening tries to beat the light, but you have only so much shadow to give right now. This new talent of yours You fight it, you form it, and it coalesces. It starts truly, and you see it forming rough edges and sharp angles as this shadow is trying to emulate the thing that it sees before it. Much smaller than it, though, it struggles to take form, to take something solid, and as it's growing, it seems capped at the amount of shadow you can pull from the cave behind you. And instead of shrinking down, it stays at this form, this size. This creature doesn't even notice. It is quite small. It's fixated on Waldorff. It picks up another rock nearby, though, cracks it open, shoves it into the lava, and then looks to the prey in his other hand. It bellows again, with a hand opening enough to reach you.
Ow.
It attempts to smash this rock, except it doesn't hit. It doesn't hurt.
You say it
Bounces over you.
opened
This
its hand
rock
to do
shatters. Yeah, just enough to let this rock sort of crash into you. You can use your reaction if you would like to try to break free.
Yeah, I would like to go towards the wrist, actually. And kind of like try and crawl up its arm.
Yeah, well, I'll make an athletics check to see if you can break this grapple hold. So I believe you're still stuck within it. 37. It meets it, so it beats it. You are free. You can move on your turn. But until then, this thing is still quite furious. With this rock, this boulder it was carrying, shattering, it takes to fists. It seems just ready to obliterate something, letting out that deep bellows over and over again. This time, seeing you as you're getting ready to move about, it dips its own fist in the magma. But that's its action. It can't act on that. Aghi, you're still headed to Crestwatch, is that correct?
Yep.
Did I take some
All right.
fire damage there?
You didn't, because it didn't beat your AC. So there was no damage on
Thank
that
you.
attack. Yep. And how about Poppy as you make your way up?
Poppy will sprint over to Rune and just like lay a hand on the side of his face, and we'll do lay on hands to heal him
All right.
a little bit. There we go. Let's see if she can do that.
All right. Well, this elemental creature in the heart of this Dalos stumbles forwards, can't find the Vesperin, the one who instigated this thing, but it's quite angry at Dorian for this. This place starts to shake and rattle. You don't know if it's what happened in here or if there's something happening outside in this massive construct. So it moves forwards. Lashes at you with a fiery magma liquid tendril. It is a miss. But then again, another chance. Also a miss. Dorian, you're too quick for this thing. I believe that puts us with Vesper. You saw this thing shattered. You're still in stealth. What do you do?
Let's see. I guess I'm gonna try to hit it with Valgora. Because I have the feeling that we are not gonna have a whole lot of time.
Right. Right, yeah.
So,
And-
yeah.
As this thing gets closer, and an aura of heat again from this thing, much like the Dallos, it's within. It will be a reflex save for Dorian and Vesperin.
Mhm.
That is a hit. I'll make a reflex save. You can just roll your damage.
I'm also gonna use a debilitating strike to make it slower. Or,
All right, Dorian, you failed the reflex save, but you have a hero point.
Yes, we'll spend the hero point.
All right, re-roll that. Which debilitating strike will you be using?
I think the one that hampers movement.
All right.
Good. And then, does it take bleed damage?
It doesn't seem to take any bleed damage.
Okay.
No blood
But I
spills
still get,
from.
I get my sneak attacks.
Yep.
Okay. Oh, oops, that's wrong. Yeah. Alright. So, that's attack 1. I'll try to hit it again. It's still flat-footed to me.
Yep. That's a hit.
Okay. And I get another debilitating strike. Let me double check. Yeah, so it's enfeebled 1, and then I'll do the... Yeah, precise debilitations for another 2d6. Damage... Sneak attack.
Excellent.
And then just roll another 2d6 on top of that.
All right. Yep.
And let's see. I guess with my last action, if I can attempt to do another feint to get back into stealth.
Yeah. Yeah, I would attempt that deception. Where would the last place you would have set these crates would have been the entryway into this chamber, correct?
Yes.
All right.
Ooh.
They haven't exploded or fallen.
Okay.
You remember at this glance as you were making this swing, you see it there. They're actually sort of from the bump. They're sliding ever closer to the edge.
Can I?
Another
my,
jolt and they might plummet down. But yeah, go ahead.
Can I, with my last action, just throw one of them at him?
You would have to move towards it. You could move to it as an action. And then on your next turn, to throw.
Oh God.
This thing has a massive mouth. Perhaps you could get it to bite down. This thing actually looks like a bipedal snapping turtle.
Okay.
Of magma, fury, and rage.
Yeah, if I could do a deception, again, to feint, and then, move towards them as, like, as part of a stealth, like, sneak over there.
Do you have one action left?
Yes.
You could do either of those two things, but fainting is an action.
Okay. So it's making a distraction isn't a full action. Because it's a part of your, whatever your main action is going to be. If I remember correctly.
Okay, yeah, so make that deception check.
Okay. Oh.
It succeeds.
Okay. Yeah, so basically, she just does pocket sand and like kind of tumbles over there.
All right. That will be your action, and then that takes us to Dorian. You're in melee range with this thing. What do you do?
Could you describe the crates to me, please?
Heavy enough to carry. There's something loose in there. Maybe bags, sacks of some explosive material. You didn't get a chance to look in. They each weigh maybe 20 pounds. They were easy enough to carry. They do require 2 hands. Neither of them have fallen, though. They're just marked with red paint.
Can you take an action to pop one open?
Sure.
What's
They look like
inside?
sandbags on the inside.
Perfect. Sandbag is take another action to attach sandbag to an arrow. Fire the arrow at the creature.
All right. Excellent.
I have a point blank shot, which gives me +2 since he's within melee range. I have mobile stance, which means I do not provoke attack of opportunity for firing a ranged weapon.
Excellent. Excellent.
So let's see how this goes.
Hmm. $39. That is a hit. Roll the damage from the arrow itself.
9 points.
$10 points. Suddenly, a portion of this thing's face explodes off. It lets out a scream. Says something in Ignan. Explosion. It's knocked back 10 feet. And then further trips, lands back against a wall. Its feet, the footing's lost, but it's sort of hanging on a rough shelf behind it. A shelf of rock, scrambling to get up. I believe you don't have any more actions. But I will say,
that is correct,
Waldorff, this creature above lets out a shriek as well and stumbles back in fury and agitation. You have broken free, though, as it's attempting to kill you. You see it's dipping its hand in magma to try to finish you off. But you have 3 actions. You're not grappled. What do you do?
First thing that happens is I regain 15 hit points from my regeneration.
Yeah.
And let's see. I don't think I can do that, or maybe I can, but I don't know how. In all of its flailing around, grabbing me and whatnot, did it bring me any closer to one of the warded I-beams?
Say again?
In its flailing and grabbing me and all of this whatnot, did it bring me any closer to one of the warded I-beams?
Yeah, you're about 1 stride away, actually. It's right there. It was on
I
the other
will.
side of the map.
I'll go for one. Yeah, I'll go for the closest I-beam that still has one of the cooling wards on it.
Excellent.
And I'm going for the other eye.
You get there. No problem. One action, grab, another action. It puts you about shoulder height, but you're not quite there yet.
If I'm at that ledge, since I know I can't get all the way there, can I be kind of like under the ledge so that it can't see down through that? Like, yeah, I just want to be kind of difficult to get to.
Right.
Yeah.
Perfect plan there. And then Rune.
Rune will take, feeling a little bit better thanks to his sister. He'll stand up a bit and head to where he gets a better view of the area and start to cast darkness. Targeting the space of Sailix's summons.
All right. Right. Any other actions?
No, that takes all three.
All right, and Sailix.
So now with the added darkness, is it possible to try to utilize that to feed into the summon?
Yeah. Suddenly you feel that rejuvenation. It's like the blood in your veins. You feel powerful again. This thing's ready to describe what forms here.
So the miniature version of the Delos that had came out of the shadows starts to enlarge. As it does, it puts off a sickeningly cold aura. As it raises, chains start to form around its chest and arms, and you kind of hear that clinking as it takes steps forward. How tall does it get?
This thing grows and grows and grows. Had this been a flat surface, like the slag up above, it would be the size of the shadow that this thing cast. And it's coming out of the walls. There's not enough space in here for two of these Dalos to occupy. So instead, this thing sort of just merges out, the same size. Muted colors, mostly shadowy, this high contrast, its eyes emitting black. And instead of smoke from a fire, it's that black vapor seeping out. They're eye level with one another. This thing is massive. Same size as the creature it mimics.
Sailix just kind of bellows an order in Celestial. Lead it to Crestwatch.
Excellent. The first thing that the Dalos does is curse at it in confusion, in Ignan. The fist out, covered in magma, a backhand into this shadow creature. And it's manifested a physical, semi-physical form from shadow as this thing happens and it strikes. There's a loud crack, like thunder. They begin to trade blows. This thing actually continues to crawl up out of this cavern. The shadow follows it as well. Aghi, are you headed to Crestwatch?
She's heading to Crestwatch.
It's good. I don't think anyone else is headed to Crestwatch, right? But what's the range for telepathic bond?
Planet-wide.
Okay, good. Well, you've heard the plan is going according to plan, which is going according to plan, and you think you might be meeting someone there. Poppy, you've helped Rune. Both of you have escaped death. You bought some time. It looks like this thing is making its way out of Din's drop, albeit slowly. There is a way out through the smelting facility, through this cave. So what do you do?
So Poppy does not know the plan because she is not telepathically bond.
Right.
So she would just look to Rune. Now what are we doing? Just very confused.
Rune will quickly respond, leading it to Crestwatch.
Alright. She'll turn.
Rune, are you making your way to Crestwatch on foot?
Has Sailix left yet?
I imagine Sailix is heading out at his earliest convenience, probably flying. Yeah.
All right. Rune will cast the flying spell on Poppy first, and then the next round he'll cast it on himself, and he just says, "Follow Sailix. Stay safe."
Yep. Just a smile and she'll follow.
Vesperin and Dorian, I need you both to make reflex saves as this thing is violently throwing you to the other side of the chamber from a massive impact. There's nothing here to dampen the blow, the force being traded here. 41 makes it, 33 doesn't. Dorian does start to plummet, but yeah?
Yeah, can I grab him?
It'll be an action. You can attempt
That's okay.
it. Yep, athletics check. As per grab.
Okay. Alright, I'm gonna try.
You got him by his hand. His free arm.
So
He's dangling below.
seems like I have you at my mercy, love. And she would try to use the momentum to swing him back up to somewhere more stable.
All right. Now you have an action. It looks like this thing had also been thrown deeper into this chamber. It got stuck again somewhere below, battling something beyond. There's something violent going on outside, but this thing it looks stuck in the many pillars and rocks and beams that make up this network. It's like a tangle. But yeah, you have an action. What do you do?
Can I throw the other explosive crate at it?
Yeah. That
Or
you can.
actually, I think let me hold that to I'll act after Dorian.
All right. So yeah, because you'll move to the crate.
Yeah. Because I put him back on better ground, hopefully.
Yep.
And he shot the thing the last time with yeah.
Right.
So
Perfect.
let's do that. I'll hold my last action for after he goes, because
Yeah, I love it. Dorian, what do you do?
So Dorian has 3 actions. He will take the first action to once again attach one of the bags of explosives to an arrow and take a shot. It is no longer within melee It's still within the first range increment, so I still get the +2.
All right. What's your range increment?
He's going to fire an arrow with the explosive attached to it. Oh. Does a 29 happen to hit? Guessing no.
A 29 to hit. Well, this thing is... I think this thing might have concealment. I would say a 29. No, it does not hit.
All right.
Not for the AC. Yep.
No, that's fine. He will use a free action to draw another magical arrow with Spell Strike, the telekinetic projectile, and fire that arrow with his second shot.
All right. All right.
Oh, that also failed.
Oh.
That's a critical miss.
I forgot to add the +2 to that. Is it 24 still a critical miss?
24 is not a critical miss. No. Nope.
All right.
Good save there.
So is he already threw the crate at it, right?
No, he popped open the crate and started pulling out the bags in it and attaching those bags to his arrows.
Yeah.
Can I attach one to Valgora to throw at
it? It would be at a penalty, but I don't see why not. Do you have any actions left?
Okay. Yeah, I had the one that I was holding.
Okay. Yep. Oh, hold for... Okay, yep.
Yeah, because I wanted to hold till after Dorian...
Oh, it'll take 2 actions to attach the bag anyway, though.
Oh, okay.
So what do you want to do?
Is it possible to start on this one, so then I can finish on my next one?
Yep.
And
the bomb
then
ready?
my
Yeah.
other question is, with a good thievery check, could that be 1 action instead of 2?
With a hero point, it can be.
Nah. I feel like I'm gonna need the hero point.
Speaking of people... Yeah, okay, so you will ready that then.
Yes.
Then, speaking of people who will need hero points, Sky Steel,
Oh, boy.
Hey.
you're under the shoulder of this thing, except you've witnessed what's occurred. Its mirror image of Umbral Shadow is now battling it, and as they battle, they move up. This thing stalking it, taunting it, and inciting it to climb higher and higher, cackling towards it. And suddenly you're not really under its shoulder anymore. You would have to catch up, but what do you do?
First thing is I'm going to regain those 15 hit points from my regeneration.
Yes.
Which I
Excellent.
can do. I figured out how.
Yep. Love
And
it.
yeah, if I can catch up, and is it possible for me to get to its other eye that doesn't already have an eye beam sticking out of it?
Yeah, it seems like telepathically, if you're in that bond, they're trying to lead it to Crestwatch, which is in the Commons District. It's undead territory.
Yeah, I don't feel like it can actually see out of these eyes.
Right, there must be...
Or maybe I can just drive that... is there like a soft spot under the arm or in that shoulder area that I could...
it would be hard to tell.
Kind of drive that into...
It would take a lot of work, you imagine.
Yeah.
Get
I've
in there.
already
You
got
don't
it.
see any soft
I might as
spots.
well go ahead and go for the eye like I was planning to.
Excellent.
Because I don't feel like it's slowing it down as much as I wanted it to, but it might be draining its resources a little bit.
Yeah.
So if I can do that, then I'm going to do that. And use any extra movement that I might have to maybe go up into the head where Vesper and Dorian went in. I wouldn't necessarily know where they went, but I would, if I can get in there and help them out in some way, that I'm going to.
Yeah. Yeah, and are you still
No,
enlarged?
like, yeah, and
Oh,
she
yeah, 'cause
communicated
telepathically
while they
she
were
would've-
going in telepathy. Yeah.
So yeah, I would know where they went and how to get to them. So yeah, I would try and drive that I-beam into the other eye, and then follow Vesper and Dorian into its heart.
That's a hit.
Nice.
A scream. This thing has been making its way out. It's almost out of the furnace. About halfway up, Din's drop. Screaming and flailing. The runes immediately take to work as they've been engineered to, through careful runic magic. Along the beam, now sticking out on each eye, just plumes of flame and smoke as it's working to try to cool this thing down. These runes have no idea that they're killing the thing. They might have been built to protect and empower. This thing flails, but as it's climbing, it doesn't really have any means to pull this thing out. Its arms are too big anyway. But it bellows with that fury once more, and with your final action, I take it you move down to seek out Vesper and Dorian.
Correct.
All right. Rune and Poppy. You're carrying through with the plan, right?
Yeah, once Rune sees Poppy taken off, alright, he'll cast Fly on himself with his second slot and take off to catch up.
All right. And Sailix, what about you?
Sailix is on his way towards Crestwatch. Kind of
Okay.
keeping an eye on the battle between the two as he's going on.
Yeah.
If that thing, if it falls, he will command it to the Shadow Delos to just wrap a chain around it and drag its ass to Crestwatch anyway.
Right. This thing is starting to move.
Like, we're inside it, right?
Oh, he knows. Telepathy would have it known.
I'm trying to pull up the map so I can find where the hell Crestwatch is.
Fights this thing. Yeah, Crestwatch is about a mile, maybe 2 miles away. It's a good backup plan if
To
this
the
thing
south,
refuses
yeah.
to fucking die. Aghi, you've been making haste to
Yeah.
get to Crestwatch, right?
Yeah, has she...
All right, are you on the telepathic bond? No.
Yes.
Aghi
Aghi
He's
is
been halfway. Right. Well, Vesperin is still inside this thing. Fighting, trying to take it down. You can speak to her if you would like.
Yeah, I mean, Aghi's whole plan is to try and get whoever the hell can take this thing down, use Shimrix or anyone at Crestwatch, and see if that would help.
Excellent.
Oh, there.
You notice you're attracting attention as you're booking it down the street here. You've managed to make your way up, and you're running along the main roads, but you know that that's dangerous, even under good circumstances. But you do see ghouls crawling on all fours, getting as far away from Din's drop as possible. Likely they've heard what's happened, and they're just trying to distance themselves from the incident. speaking of the incident, down below in the heart of it, Waldorff does arrive, but only after this thing moves again in an attempt to climb up. Grabbing onto the platform, suddenly it crumbles and it shatters because this thing is wobbling around unnaturally. You could tell it's in a hurry. For what
It
Sailix
should
is
still be
describing, it makes
enfeebled.
sense. Enfeebled? Right, so the movement penalty.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, and it doesn't move much before this thing shatters, only about 5 feet. It starts to plummet, bouncing, flopping back and forth as it hits beams and small landings on the way down, suddenly 50, 60, 70 feet, screaming. There's nothing but like a faint glow down there. And that orb you shattered is still laying there in pieces. But Vesperin, it's your turn. Waldorff is arriving. You don't see any immediate threats in this chamber, but I need you to make a reflex save as the weight shifting around in this thing. Every impact from Sailix's shadow beast causing it to shake. Actually, reflex saves from all three of you.
I do have legendary reflex, if that makes any difference.
Oh. Waldorff with a nat 1 makes it a critical failure.
Ugh. Ugh. At least we
Falls.
can't see your face for that.
Slips, smacks into the platform where the shattered orb is and begins to plummet himself.
I can still fly.
Are you flying currently?
No, I was walking at the time, but I still do have a 20-foot
Okay.
fly speed.
What is the duration on that when casted?
Divine Vessel has a duration of 1 minute. And as we are, how many turns in? Round 6?
Yeah, but
Round
you
7.
Yeah, you should have about 4 more rounds.
I cast it towards the end of the last fight. I think I only used 2 rounds of it in the last session. So I should have 2 rounds left.
All right. And Dorian, did you make a reflex save?
No, again. All right.
Yeah.
Is mine good, Ian, or do I need to hero point?
Yeah, no, yours is good. Nope. You
Okay.
catch yourself, Dorian, you smack
for
into something, but you're still flying.
How much for that?
So,
Oh God. Can I try to grab him again, or was mine not good enough to attempt?
Yeah, I think he begins to just plummet. He falls on the other side, out of arm's reach. You're currently falling, we'll put, Dorian. 2d6 worth of damage as you're smacking into things. You haven't managed to catch yourself.
I've
Next
got-
round, you'll get a chance.
For what it's
do you
worth,
got?
he's got feet to reduce falling damage.
Oh, that will be great. Okay,
What is it?
I'm
Cat
sure that
fall?
will help you.
Okay.
Okay, excellent. So you don't take damage from that. But yeah, what do you guys do here? I guess starting with Vesperin.
So basically, the heart that we saw. So first of all, the beast is far away now and not our problem, at least right now, right?
Yeah.
Can I try to get to the platform that the heart was on to get a better look at it?
Yeah. Absolutely. Trivial to balance when you get a stable second to make a break. It's cracked. Like a smashed egg.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want to make a perception check, or a knowledge check of some sort, you may.
Okay. Let's see.
And Waldorff.
My lore is underworld, so I will do perception.
All right.
Jeez.
Yeah, you smack into something, but your flight saves you from a plummet. It
I'm
doesn't
gonna hero
save.
point that because I'm sick of this.
All right. It doesn't save Dorian. He's falling.
Okay.
So Dorian can fall up to 50 feet and not take damage.
All right. Yeah. So no damage taken from you so far, but every time you smack into something, it shatters. You're still on the descent here.
Oh,
I know we're out of
crap.
combat, so we'll just continue with you three.
Would I be able to get to him, or am I too far away?
Can he
Now,
still take action?
2 rounds of flight left. Because it's Vesperin,
What are we
Dorian.
falling?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Dorian. You can take actions.
Yeah, so my thought is if I have a rope in my thief's kit or something, and Dorf can fly to grab Dorian, then while she's tying the rope to a rock, she can throw it down and then you guys can grab it before Dorf's flight runs out, maybe.
I mean, I can recast it. I still have a spell slot to recast Divine Vessel, but it is a 7th level spell. Oh wait, no, I
Right.
can't.
Well, I think
don't
Dorian
have
has
any spell slots
actions.
left.
Yeah.
Dorian, what would you do?
So, question first. How long has it been since Dorian and Vesperin first went to Din's Drop Pit?
Oh, 20 minutes maybe?
Over an hour? Over an hour?
I would think over an hour, because, yeah, there was a significant amount of staking out
Yeah.
there.
He transforms
Yeah.
into a bat.
Okay.
Hell yeah!
Now,
Awesome.
it's very dark down there. So Dorian just falling. Gets quieter and then stops. You hear no more. You imagine he's still falling.
That
And
that is a
suddenly
2-action. That is a
All right.
2-action effect, and then he will find a place to land as his 3rd action.
All right. And the Batman lands
Actually,
on the
no,
platform.
for now, because everything's shaking around so much, he's going to stay flying for a bit.
That's a good
All right.
call.
Yeah. You remain in flight.
What do I get out of my 40 perception at this?
This thing, it looks like the way that it branches out, these tubes of magma, it branches, it reminds you of veins.
Mhm.
Perhaps this is the heart of the thing. Now, you've witnessed people, when their heart stops, they still have time. Perhaps it's fully capable of fighting through this. However, you don't know. Maybe all this is like a heart attack to it. Because obviously it's still standing. This must be important to it, though. That's all you can gather.
With knowledge of because I have alchemical crafting, so I know how explosives and things work, and then also with thievery, how rudimentary devices work, or at least how to disable devices. Can I make a check, a thievery check for to figure out how to fully disable this thing, or
It's destroyed.
Oh, okay, so it is destroyed.
Yeah, it's shattered.
Okay.
But it's unclear what effect this might have on it in the short term. Obviously, it seems important. There was a ripple throughout this place, a boom when it happened. But yet it still seems to be moving.
Are there
Waldorff.
like rocks that we can push into to block the flow of the veins?
Well, they branch out in many directions.
Yeah.
If you were to try to collapse this place entirely, a well-placed explosion might help.
Yes! That sounds great.
That sounds like a great idea.
Dorian, the bombs are still here. Waldorff, do you have anything in mind?
I would like to get over solid ground before my spell runs out.
Yeah, you'll land on the center platform where Vesperin is.
Do either of them look
As
injured
this-
at all?
Strangely, no.
Interesting.
They've managed to avoid harm here.
If it is my turn, then I would again from my regenerate regain 15 hit points. This also lasts for a minute.
All right.
Which I can do. I think, yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. I would kind of take Vesperin's cue. I would be kind of. I'm playing catch up because I came in after stabbing this thing in the eyes. I'm going, okay, what the hell is going on? What are we doing? What do you want me to do? I'm good with rock and stone, so if you need me to use my hammer and smash something off, and I would be waiting instructions from Vesperin because I'm kind of looking to her as the squad leader, basically.
So, so basically she would, again, transmit the image to Rune and be like, we stopped his heart. I think blowing in all the hell seems like the next step, but I'm going to defer to your expertise, wizard.
Sailix and Aghi, you're also involved for contest. Yeah?
Oh, I was just going to ask, just looking around, does it look like there's a way to descend even further down into this thing, or is this about as far down as we can get?
Yeah, well, this chamber is much deeper than where you are now. You imagine this is
but there were stairs to here, right?
Right. So you've moved from the head into the chest, and this massive
does it look
thoracic
like there are any
cavity.
stairs that go further down, to the crotch?
No stairs, but it's open. I mean, there's a massive hole that one of these creatures had fallen down. Dorian had started to fall. And from the sound of it, it looks like it goes down, really quite far. But those of you with telepathy, you've heard this. For context, Aghi, Poppy, and Rune, I think most of you are on foot, making your way down this road. No undead beast will have quarrel with you at this time as these two behemoths fight in the streets, marching over. Sailix, I imagine you're flying from a safe distance to ensure that these things, this beast of yours that you've summoned with Rune, leads this thing to Crestwatch. You've made good progress so far. Vesperin is asking about blowing this thing up, though. You heard that telepathically. You may have a conversation if you like. There's no apparent threat nearby.
Maybe we should just
go ahead.
Wait. We need to wait for the opportune moment.
Well, the question I have first is, would this even work? Or would it just make it more mad?
Sailix kind of looks back to Rune.
Exactly. This
Yeah,
is a wizard
Rune, are you
question,
flying?
love.
Well, both Rune and Poppy are flying. So it will do something. However, I've never heard of a Dalos this large. So I don't know.
All right. Well, by Callistria's tits, let's hope we get lucky tonight. So, Ian,
Yeah.
I, again, as both an alchemical crafter and a thief who I imagine has done the classic thief trope of placing bombs on structures to, time them and blow up a section or whatever. I imagine that's within a wheelhouse. As well as having Dorf here, who is a crafter and all other things.
Hey.
Between the two of us, if we have the time for it to go there with, Dorian also assisting with, getting things in different places, can we rig with the explosives we have a detonated charge? Like, can we set up a thing with a timer or with a button? Or, even just one of those TNT lines that, we just light a match.
Yeah.
So.
Well, height is useful to you. If you were to set the crates, naturally they would begin to start plummeting.
Yeah.
Falling down this hole. I mean, if you set a crate down, eventually it'll get banged up around enough, and it would play plinko with its insides, and then it could explode that way. For making a timer, I don't know if you have any materials for it.
Yeah, because, my thought would be to, because you said that each crate had, a series of explosives within it, right?
Correct.
Little... So, if we could, use, some sort of, either a pin or sticks, something tacky or something to set them up on different parts of the wall, and then have a rope coated with if it is an explosive thing, it's probably got some sort of reagent like nitroglycerin or something, and you just dip the rope in there and then tie them each together, so then when you set the main thing on fire, then it goes boop, 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 boop.
Yeah, Dorian, you have rope,
obviously
don't you?
Obviously this would take time, but I feel
This is good.
within all of our wheelhouses we could do this.
Yep. It's time that
Dorian
you have. You each could
technically doesn't have rope. The rope only comes when he uses his magical arrows, and then it disappears when they're done.
But
All
I
right,
feel
well,
like
you have
if
time.
I know
something
something.
I would
I
have
know how
in
to do
a...
something my character doesn't. I said this
I
is the
feel
first time
Yeah.
that I know how to. Sorry. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, I feel like it'd be something I'd probably have in a thief's kit or something. I don't know for sure though. This is your discretion.
I have nothing on me right now
nitroglycerin.
except for my hammer.
Nitroglycerin, no, but rope, yes.
No.
As far as lighting
Yeah,
these things
well,
on
rope.
fire.
I'm saying we would take one of the already one of the explosive things and very carefully dip it into it.
I think they're bags of powder, not
powder.
liquid.
It's powder.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
I have alcohol.
Alcohol and rope.
Of
You have
course
those
you
things.
do.
Yep.
A Callistrian
Yeah,
servant
actually,
would have those things.
I have
at just
alcohol
about any
and
time.
rope.
All right. But you have a craft check. You're near a lot of
I
flammable things.
Yeah. All right.
I have
and
a
then,
craft check.
Yes.
Waldorff would be good at this.
Okay.
I am good with fire.
Can I
Being a forest
assist him
dwarf.
for like a bonus or something? You know, because like
Yep.
we're both. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, and Dorian can help festoon this thing along with arrows. So, alchemy check for Vesperin, or whatever equivalent check. Crafting check for Waldorff, and maybe attack rolls for Dorian to pin this thing along, or find something to hook it along with, sort of festoon this place with some bombs.
Query.
Position.
Can I do
Yes.
thievery?
Yes.
Because I'm better at that.
Yep.
Okay.
Damn it.
Cool.
Let's cut away real quick. Making your way along the road. Aghi, you're between the legs of this thing as it's marching along. Poppy, I imagine you're with Rune, or at least Rune's keeping an eye on you. What's going through your mind right now? What's the plan?
For Aghi, she's a little pissed that it caught up so quickly. She thought she could get there. She needs to run more. But no, she just sort of looks up to see Sailix fine, and continues on. Her mind is just set on doing what needs to be done. And Poppy is very much keeping Rune in sight to make sure that he is fine, and looking around for Dwarf. A little concerned that she can't see him.
Yeah, it seems like they're working hard inside this thing to rig it to explode when they need it, on their terms. Sailix, what about you? You see Aghi rushing as hard as she can. If she had something like your boots of speed, this wouldn't have been a problem, but this thing's already caught up to her. It doesn't really look like anybody's getting to Crestwatch before this thing.
Sailix would dive down for her. He doesn't like the idea of her being underfoot of a giant thing that's fighting another giant thing.
Yeah,
that can't be boxed.
Fine.
So he's diving down to try and get her.
It should be pretty easy. This thing's distracted by the shadow beast of its size. Yeah, what do you do when you approach?
As he approaches, he tries to level out and just kind of come in and just pick her up from behind the knees and kind of try to cradle her head into his shoulder. It's probably going to hurt a little bit, but he can't spare the time to slow down, pick her up, and then pick up more speed trying to get out of there. So,
right. Rune and Poppy, where are you? As this thing marches along.
Rune at the very least is staying fairly high and behind it, but allowing the plan to get it to Crestwatch to move forward. If he gets the sense that, well, yeah, we'll leave it at that.
Right. Crestwatch sits at a cliff. There's a winding path to get up to the entrance to Crestwatch. And it looks like lights aren't typically on in this place. And then there's a cliff face area, which you would imagine would be more accommodating to something of this massive size. So if you're trying to make your way into Crestwatch, to make demands or to speak with the people involved in any way, I imagine you would take an alternate path or fly over and land into the villa instead of meeting it at the cliff face, where you imagine the Shadow Beast is luring the Dalos up to.
Well, yeah, Rune and Poppy can get there as the raven flies, so to speak.
Right.
Can take more of a straighter path to Crestwatch.
Sailix, I imagine you and Aghi do as well. This gives you some time to catch up and get ahead. Now, this thing, it's a massive palace estate, the largest single estate you've seen in Sagarak. In a way larger than Haral's. His is more austere. You can land within the main gates of this villa. It's not designed to be well fortified, but there are some guards of sorts. Twisted looking aberrations, but if there's one thing you've learned about Sagarak is if you're important enough, they might just lend you their ear. One of the 14 of them sprouting out of its face at least. But yeah, what do you guys do? Poppy, Rune, Aghi, Sailix.
Oh, well, I figured Rune would probably get there first since Sailix dove down to get Aghi.
Yeah, that's true, and you could follow his lead. You're not far behind. Yeah, so what do you do, Rune?
Rune just calls out in Abyssal for Vishimerix.
Necro.
The Shumerix. The main door.
We'll try it again in Necro as well, whichever works.
Opens. The aberrations, the many-limbed creatures that attacked you in the commons of the city, they don't even move towards you. As you land, you make your way in.
He does, gesturing Poppy to stay close.
Poppy, I imagine you
Yeah.
do stay close. Indeed. You make your way in. Barghists, much smaller ones than the ones you saw. They stand guard, but they don't do anything. Their weapons are ready, and they snicker. Like you've all willingly walked into a trap. They're just simply waiting for a convenient time. Sailix and Aghi, you would land shortly after. Anything you wish to do as you enter, Sailix or Aghi?
Sailix has Leviathan drawn.
Yeah,
And
Augie's
Aghi.
just sort of keeping pace with Sailix, daring any of them to sort of come forward.
Yeah. None of them do. Come. Meet me at my throne. You can hear where the sound is echoing from as you navigate through this building. This place is just decrepit, and eventually
certainly
you
head
reach a
back.
circular. Yeah, you eventually reach a circular chamber. That bar guest you saw. You asked for Vishimerix.
Are you he?
Here I am. Oh, well, what language are you speaking, by the way?
Abyssal, by default. Although he'll shift to whatever Vishimerix is speaking. As long as he knows it, of course.
Taldane, actually, to address you, knowing it to be a common language. Well, what is it then?
Well, the trap you had laid for us back at the pit, it was rather ingenious, really, with the crown as a lure. It was well done. Unfortunately, we couldn't quite handle the creature that the crown was attached to, you see. But it is awake. And I would argue in somewhere over the next, I don't know, 12 seconds or so, plus or minus,
No.
you're going to get a knock on your door.
Crash, really.
Now,
What are
given
you
how
talking
angry
about?
it is, I'm not really sure it's going to knock per se. I think Sailix got the better of it. It's really just going to kick the wall down and head straight for you. Because
Suddenly that stomped
it had a unique effect when it reached out to me of slowing me down a bit. And I noticed my compatriots had run into a similar effect when they tried to touch the crown. So my thought is you attempted to use some power of the creature to trap us. In doing so, you plunged a piece of metal straight into its head, and I think it knows you did it.
No. He gets up, moves to a window to get a closer look, and in absolute disbelief, the ground shakes. His villa, this throne room, it has several windows. They look over Sagarak. It's the most beautiful view in the city. And as he looks, he sees that great beast coming to blows with this shadow beast. Sailix, what do you do with this beast that it's fighting?
Thinking about like how they're fighting, Sailix will try to mentally order it to like grab it by its face and thrust it towards the window that he's looking out of.
It grabs it, locks it over, and pushes it in. The two eyes with poles sticking through them. They're just venting heat. It starts to melt the rock of this balcony-like area. Crestwatch, the windows, they melt away, then the rocks start to crumble. The Shumerix.
The Shumerix. You could, I'm sure, try and tear us apart, which was what you had hoped it was going to happen today. Or you could run screaming, which I feel is a consideration since you've done it once already. Or you can try and push away this new dinner guest we've brought to your door. Either way, I'm going to leave now with my friends, and we're going to go rest a bit. So you have a lovely day.
You lot turn to leave. Yeah? He's stunned.
Sort of.
He just looks out at this beast. His master plan. Sailix has stopped. He hasn't turned away. Sailix, what are you doing?
Sailix is looking for the crown.
Ooh.
Raldor. My name is Raldor. I know where the Shumerix is.
Where?
Near the slag.
Below the pits?
Equidistant slag to the temple. Haunted land, I wouldn't go there. I've never met him. I don't much like a dwarf.
Oh, good on you then.
The aberrations, as you would call them. I represent them. If
Yeah,
you stop
that's
the
why we came
Shumerix-
here.
What of us? You've no defenses.
Well, I don't know if
can't
that's
control
true.
that thing again.
Sailix
well, if you could,
go-
you would.
Sailix going to slowly be approaching with Leviathan, just kind of dragging it along the ground. And
Wall of
he'll
force
say,
bisects the circle between you and him with a wave of his staff. He turns.
Sailix will say telepathy bond
Yeah.
to Vesprin. Whenever you're ready, love.
Raldar approaches the opening of this melted a hole that leads to this giant standing eye level at 150 feet off the ground on this cliff edge. But we'll cut Vesperin, Waldorff, Dorian. You're given the signal.
Aye.
What do you do?
Okay. So I feel like with my 19, that I have a reasonable idea on where to place them for max damage and what's happening? How to like get to a reasonable distance for us to start to get the fuck out as it's blowing up. Hopefully, question mark.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
I believe you three have some time.
Okay.
Bat form, Waldorf, would you cast flight again? You have a vertical
I
chamber
don't-
to scale if you're getting out.
I think I have the spell slot to do it.
All right,
It is
yeah.
a 7th level
you
spell.
didn't. You did not cast it that second time, so you should have
Right.
it.
Right. But regeneration was also a 7th level.
Oh. Okay. All right. Well.
You have 3 7th level spells.
Okay, then yes, I will go ahead
Yeah.
and cast Divine Vessel again. Regain that.
Excellent.
So actually, that would be right as it's wearing off. I would recast it, so I don't even shrink.
Excellent.
Cool.
That gives you a chance, but Vesper, and I think your way out would be wall jumping via acrobatics to make your way out of the head.
And I can throw Balgora to teleport.
You'd have to have a
something.
target. You could throw it at the bat.
No! So it can't just be like hitting like the lip of the wall or something like that?
It would have to embed in something you've intentionally shot it at.
Okay.
It would have to
Okay.
hit a target.
Alright, well I'm fine doing acrobatics. But
Yeah,
basically we would she would light it and then get the fuck out.
Just like shoot straight up in the air. Like, as a matter of fact, at large, would I be? Well, I wouldn't have to worry about Dorian, would I?
Hey chat, can someone give me a hero point?
Yeah, it's not clear if Vesperin would get out of here.
Yeah.
I would. I mean, I would grab her. I was gonna say if I don't have to worry about Dorian, then it would be nothing for me to just grab Vesperin and fly up with her. If I do have to worry about Dorian, would I be able to grab both of them like around the waist and straight up
No.
like Superman them out? It would
Yeah, I
be
think
too
Dorian
heavy
has
for
no
me.
trouble getting out. But you'll have to make an athletics check to grab Vesper, and she's attempted to jump off and she slipped. So an athletics check
Okay.
to grab
So,
for
Athletics,
you.
where are you?
So Dorian had to leave his
I gotcha.
bat form
Okay.
to help. And he can only do that once per hour. But he will attempt to get out on his own anyway. And not dissuade Doro from helping the Wasp.
Oh.
Okay, so how are you getting out?
Well, he's going to at least attempt to climb his own way out. The same as
All right.
Voss was.
Athletics
'Cause
check.
I was
because
thinking
you can't wall jump.
that Dorf would just like grab both of them around the waist and just like take off. That was my first instinct.
Yeah, you can attempt. That would be another athletics check. I'll roll it to grab him. It doesn't succeed, nor does his attempt to climb.
Oh no!
He slips. It's a smooth wall. You have seconds.
Dorian just yells for them to go. Just go.
Waldorff, you have seconds. This thing will blow. It's not a matter.
Would making a
Rosie!
second attempt for Dorian cost me my ability to escape with Vesper?
Yeah, you have one action worth of time to do something. A movement
Then I would.
gets you out. Throwing her keeps you stuck.
Okay.
Doing
would
anything
move.
else, yeah, you've got an
I
action.
would take Vesperin and move. When Dorian says go, I would go. I would give him a very teary-eyed look as I do so, but I would.
He just smiles.
I would go.
She's like screaming, like no!
Well, because Dorian and Waldorff were enslaved at the same time,
Yeah.
and
Dorian just
he knows
smiles.
the pain. It would be a moment of understanding and
Oh my god.
sympathy, but sometimes not living with the things that you've had to do is better. And he would
Well,
get
there's
Vesper
only
now.
so much time to
Yeah,
contemplate that. I
she's just,
imagine
like,
Dorian.
Screaming like now, like.
Only the time to give a
Yeah.
wink as Dorian continues to fall and slide, the magma pulling up and heading towards him as it closes
Oh my god.
that circle, but suddenly the bomb explodes. The shadow dissipates as the shrapnel pierces through it. This Dalos crumbles and ignites, just rippling out from this top all the way down. Small explosions. You can see the beams of what's sort of face, sort of construct, absolutely shattering the front face of this cliff. And Crestwatch is a miracle. Nothing hits any of you. Some of it's absorbed by this wall of force that was created to protect Raldar as he commanded this thing to protect him. Suddenly, it's gone. Dust. Pile of rubble. He looks back to Rune, to Sailix, to Aghi, to Poppy. Unconditional surrender. He throws his staff, and with it, the wall of force does dissipate just in time for it to scoot at Rune's feet. He looks to his men in fear.
Rune looks to Sailix.
That's a shame. As Sailix grabs him by the throat. I'm not in a mood
Poppy
for a
stop
surrender.
Poppy?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Poppy's grabbed your wrist, Sailix. And you see that. What do you do?
I said unconditional surrender. You can't just kill him.
Sailix will look over to his other shoulder. I'm sorry to do this to you, Sam. To Aghi and be like, my lance. And he'll just kind of push him towards Aghi.
Aghi will like catch his face with her like bare hand and just start squeezing.
Sailix, Aghi. No.
You're screaming, cracking, tearful eyes from this Barghest look at his men he surrendered to protect them. Maybe their families. Some of you have seen stuff like this from war. Waldorff and Vesperin land into this room, the opening from this melted hole by the Dalos. Dorian's nowhere to be found, but you're all here.
Sailix, Aghi, no.
Screams and-
This will turn them against Kovlar.
Vesperin
All the
looks
speeches
at
you
both
all
of them.
gave me about
and-
revenge.
Well, hang on. So Vesperin looks numbed and tired and just exhausted. And she looks at both of them and says, "A good man gave his life for this opportunity, and neither of you will fuck it up for your petty bullshit. Stop."
Dorf doesn't speak out aloud, but telepathically, you get this overwhelming question of, "Have you no honor?" It's just a
Aghi,
feeling. It's just a thought.
Yeah, hesitates for a moment with Vesperin speaking, but does not let go of his face as she glances over at Sailix.
Sailix will
Physical
pull his
intervention is
hand-
possible here, by the way.
Sailix will pull his hand away from Poppy and just kind of clasp Aghi on the shoulder as he starts to walk out of the building. Like, come on. Let them have their moment.
Yeah, she releases, just tosses him to the ground.
Just eyes Sailix at that statement.
Say again?
Rune just sort of eyes Sailix as he walks away with his last statement.
Yeah, Vesperin too. Just and towards Poppy, or not Poppy, Aghi, she just looks disappointed.
Ouch.
Just
You don't
again,
understand.
that, the weight of that mom disappointment.
This is
Oh,
the
yes,
first
turn away.
phase. The war's begun.
This is the first what?
You made them angry, and then you gave them time. It's a mistake. They've been planning,
Gave who?
plotting.
Gave who time?
Every. This is my district.
Sounds like
They're the rest of Sagarak.
we need to have.
You came
a
here months
conversation.
ago.
Are you talking about the Triad?
No. Triad. Undead, the Crown, you name it. They're forming an alliance. You gave them time. They'll destroy Kovlar.
Well, then are you going to help us stop it?
You
Doesn't
can
look like
keep
he's
my
got
men
much choice.
safe.
I just blew up that fucking thing that was coming after your men. I think you fucking owe me.
And technically, we just saved
Listen.
her life.
All that is very accurate. If you want us to keep you safe from whatever these things are, we can't keep you safe from that. If you're
Maybe we
talking
could
about
just keep
after all
Sailix.
this is over, Honestly, I don't know what's going to happen after all this is over. I don't know who's going to rule Sagarak. All we can
Care
do
about
is
that anymore. He eyes Aghi, the woman that just almost killed him. I need me and mine safe. A way out of here. You can kill my little kin, I don't care. Us from below, I have little respect. My kind. I want their safety. He looks around. There are bar guests that look not unlike him. Very different from the aberrations that also swear fealty to him.
Do you have any more use to us?
listen.
He has information that we need.
I know where Vishumer exists.
Which is where the crown is.
Last time one of these fucks told us he knew where the crown was. It was a trap.
Take me prisoner. I don't care. Put me in a cell. Promise me they're okay. Their cubs are okay. I don't care what you do with the rest. It's referring to his own guard.
It might make more sense to take them prisoner. So you act right.
He looks at
Coffee.
the wizard.
You've got the best head about this. What's your call?
Poppy is looking at them very sympathetically.
They have families.
Families should be together. We have to help them if we want to help Kovlar.
Everyone will
If they're,
will eye
if
the,
they're all
eye the bar
allies,
guest.
if they're all allying, it seems to me between Kovlar, Haral and the nobles, and you lot, we've got the start of an alliance ourselves. If you cooperate and actually help us with what we need to do, seems to me it's in your best interest and in the interest of the safety of you and yours to lend whatever you got in stopping their the threat they represent. You already got stabbed in the back by the other side for trying to, ally with them already. So it seems to me our side's the only one that's actually giving you a way to get back at them.
I did this for safety. My kin is in danger.
And if they continue to exist, continue to do what they're doing with whatever the fuck dark bullshit they're activating, you honestly think that all by yourselves, you're gonna be okay?
I nearly died
'Cause you don't-
seconds
you-
into an unconditional surrender, and you're telling me I can trust you any different.
All right,
You may not
He's
be able to
emotional.
trust those. You can trust me.
hold on.
Can I do diplomacy?
Sure.
Okay.
Raldar, right?
But he's looking at Poppy, hopeful.
Yeah, not bad.
He doesn't seem to trust any of you. He's nursing maybe a crack in his skull. He won't look Aghi in the eye, but he looks at Poppy. She's the only one who spoke in his defense.
Yeah, Poppy will take a step towards him. You said you have families. You said you're just here to protect them. I will make sure that nothing befalls you. And she'll turn and look at Sailix and Vesperin. He will be under my ward.
Sailix will dip his head and kind of just be like, "At your leave, Lady Ravenswood."
See to it that he stays safe.
Vesperin just eyes Sailix.
She would very pointedly notice he has not paid her any mind since she got in.
You'll also notice the weapons are not drawn on any of these guards of his. Violin
is
ready
that
for
right?
judgment. Aye.
Okay. You had control over the aberrations, is that correct?
To the extent that they think I represent them, yes.
How long can you keep that ploy up?
At this point, hours. They have a mind of their own. I directed them. I don't control them.
I get you. Leverage what you can to those you don't care about. Have them start poking around at whatever group you're afraid of.
I'll send my good men. They can call a retreat.
Your
It won't
call.
last long. Then there's
It's fine.
mutinies. Fake my death, take me to Kovlar. Whatever you'll have. And I'll tell you where Vishumer exists.
I'll make arrangements.
We've got a nice, comfy cell for him. That in Kovlar, right next to Colorin.
Let's go.
The Vesperin. Sailix, Aghi. Do you have a way back to Kovlar from here?
Sailix will pick up Aghi and fly off.
In Sailix's head,
Figure it out.
I'll take that as a yes.
She just looks at
Big
Rune
old
and I can figure it out.
He tips his head over
If you
to the
stay here-
staff across the room.
Oh, Rune's already picked it up.
Teleportation.
I think, but
I thought
Good
it
to
was
know.
enough earlier.
Dorf, do you need a
War
a way
Leader
back?
B. Scarmaker. Arthur. Tell them to retreat.
I think at this point in time, Dorf is back to normal Dorf size.
Yep.
Looks over at Vesperin and says, I think we should use the buddy system. We'll make it back all right." Poppy?
I'll be fine. I have my brother.
Maybe we should stick
And
I
with
can get
that-
the lot of you back. If you like.
Rune, go ahead.
as many as you've got room
Do you
for.
cast teleportation?
Well, yeah, he'll use his own teleportation for the Vesperin and Dwarf, but he'll remain behind with Poppy and Raldar to make other arrangements because he's not sure how many Raldar needs to protect. So,
Right. So the
We'll go with
Ravenswoods will stay here. Vesperin, Waldorff, Aghi, and Sailix return to Kovlar. If I have that correct.
Appears so.
All right.
although
then
Rune will
with-
be, just as a point of note, Rune will be poignantly and consistently until he decides to respond to Sailix. What the fuck was that, Sailix? What the fuck was that, Sailix? What the fuck was that, Sailix?
I was just following your lead, Rune.
That wasn't my lead. Sorry, go ahead.
Under condition. Sorry, go ahead.
So since Dorf and Vesperin, I assume, would get back first because of the teleportation, right? Vesperin would take her ring off and leave it on the nightstand of Sailix's room. Shut her mind off to the telepathy and go away. And I'll PM you, Ian.
Sailix, as you arrive, do you arrive via teleportation, both of you?
Well,
Sailix,
Dorf and
obviously.
Vesperin arrived via teleportation. I think Sailix and
were
Aghi
flying.
were flying.
All right. And Aghi, when you arrive, what's your first priority when you make it back into town?
Aghi will immediately push away from Sailix, and she is sprinting to find Vesperin if she took the ring off and is no longer able to feel her.
Yeah. Would she be able to find Vesperin?
Nope.
Vesperin doesn't want to be
You do find
found.
Sailix, though.
Dorf is
Sailix.
getting away from these crazy people and going back to his forge.
Perfect. There you'll meet a Grokar
Oh, the
Hammer
wise
but more
one.
on that later. When you do arrive at the forge, commander of the Guild of Arms, the militia for Kovlar, has been looking for you, Waldorff. Stocky, balding, and with a fiery beard, just as you remember him. Iconic for a dwarf. He's considered quite handsome. He approaches you. After a few minutes, I imagine you discuss what just happened.
Yeah, I would give him a full debriefing.
All right.
As best I can, not really understanding what just happened.
No. Would you say, dear Waldorff, that that's an act of war?
By whom?
Points in the direction of Sagarak, to the north.
No. No, I would not. I would say that it was an act of terrorism by a small faction with the express intent of pushing us to war with Sagarak. The worst possible thing for us to do right now is attack. Let me handle this for the time being. I will keep you informed, but do not act. That's exactly what they want us to do.
Aye. And
What
that,
they want is for us to go to war. We cannot give them what they want.
that was the right answer. See, I spoke to the regents. You've done great work. So great. They'd have you, Commander of the Guild of Arms. I'd be sad to give it up, but proud to have you there. That won't be it then. But this'll do. He pulls a cloth on your desk. You didn't notice it was there in the corner. It's the hammer, that which belongs to the Forge Master. With an offering.
Face, but I'm like losing my shit right now.
Let's have a talk. We'll cut away from that. Sailix. Aghi's been in a panic, looking for the Vesperin. In a strange way, you happen to know where she is. See, she chose one of the darkest shadows in the darkly lit Sagarak to find a quiet place to think. You could sense as much. And with what focus you have left, you could meet her if you choose not to tell Aghi where she is. But what do you do?
Oh, yeah, he would go.
You make your way to a roof where she's sitting, contemplating. She's not wearing the ring, but go ahead.
So Sailix would come up and he would just kind of sit down next to her. Quiet for a few moments. He would quietly take her hand and lay his over top of it. She could feel something hard pressed into their palm. Without looking at her, he'll just kind of, me and you cannot be, not in this life, not as we are. Should we return, we'll return as the sea in the sky, eternal, unstoppable, forever. The lady seems to have defined our existence on her terms, and now we carry out her will. I'm no longer truly an elf, but perhaps a dancer reciting her performance in the cycle of death. Perhaps we'll see this to work, my starlight. To fight as friends is an honor, but only as friends can we be strong enough. He'll get up and start walking away. And as he is about to walk fully away from her, he'll say, "Find my heart again at the wake of a dead god." And then 3 clinks of metal can be heard hitting the ground. 2 beater rings and a necklace. And when she turns her hand over, in it is a black crystalline elven marriage band that disintegrates into wispy shadows.
And he fades away into those shadows. That's where we're going to end it tonight, guys. Whew, all right.
Damn.
Nothing like an exciting high point to end off. Well, nobody died, but I kind of died inside
That's
there.
true. Right?
That was incredible.
Ended on some feels, Jesus.
Holy shit!
Didn't
dude.
it? Yeah, and that puts us after midnight. So let's do our closing, starting with Jen.
So I feel like she's more mad that like she didn't get to end it on her terms.
Yep.
Just like, bitch.
That would be
No,
two
it's over.
endings she
Too
didn't
bad
get to
she
end on
didn't
her
win.
terms tonight.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Like, oh man.
Oh, fuck, dude.
Yeah, that was really good. Hi, I'm Jen. I played the best friend tonight. There's a lot of things going through her head right now. And that was awesome. You can find me on the internet as Savage Sparrow, savagesparrow.com for awesome nerdy apparel and accessories. Yeah.
right. Dr.
Awesome.
Mr. Smith.
Hello, I am Dr. Mr. Smith. I would first like to ask if you enjoyed this show, please give a like, maybe a subscribe, certainly a follow. Be reminded that we show up every Saturday, or Sunday. It's not Saturday, it's Sunday. We have a lot of other shows too. I know, right? We have a lot of other shows too. So, come back, check us out once in a while. I played Rune Ravenswood this evening, as well as Dorian Ashwood, the Dampier Archer.
He certainly was.
And thank you all very much for watching this. And wow, what a way to end. Holy crap.
Oh, yeah. Whew. All right, Sam.
You're muted.
Are you muted?
I know. Watch Together got all weird, so I was confused.
Oh, my bad.
Hearing voices. I'm Sam. I'm Scribbling Penny on the interweb. You can find me nowhere else than that. Sorry, my brain is broken after that scene. I played Aghi and Poppy tonight, and heartbroken.
Oh, Daniel.
Hi guys, I played Sailix Lavendale tonight, and yeah, crazy shit happened, and yeah, that's all I got.
Waldorff, my buddy James. You got something great at the end there. Go ahead.
Yeah, I am personally losing my shit over that last scene with Waldorf because I know what that means, but I don't think anybody else does, so I'm not going to spoil it.
Oh,
for
the +2
anybody.
greater striking, greater flaming warhammer? I mean, the hammer?
Shh.
Didn't say anything.
I am stoked for Waldorf, but I am like just absolutely blown away by everybody tonight. I am so sad over losing Dorian and what the fuck is going on with Sailix and Vesprin. I am in awe of you guys. You can find me on Twitter every occasionally. Just for you, Sam, I lit that back up. I'm at James R. Glass. And hopefully you can catch us on Tuesday with our Call of Cthulhu, the shooting party game. Don't forget to check us out on patreon.com at patreon.com/pennyforatale. Give us all of your money because you love us and we love you. Thanks so much for letting me play, guys. This was incredible.
And I guess that leaves me. Well, I've been the GM. You've all been incredible. We will be back doing this, and I mean, we're also doing shows all week now, so absolutely subscribe. Once again, we are sponsored by Smiteworks. Their product, Fantasy Grounds Unity, is invaluable to me and this show. It has helped in so many ways to streamline the million things that are going on in the tabletop. And I am eternally grateful. Go to fantasygrounds.com if you're interested. Also, theonlysheet.com if you're looking not to use a virtual tabletop, but still to automate your stuff using tools. They're still excellent. Rocknarden and Michael Gelfi was the music tonight. Links in the show notes. And then maps by Seafoot Games and Chain Piku on Patreon. It's 12:08 my time. I'm going to let you guys go to bed. Thank you for watching. We will see you next week.